to provide them the proper support for their growth and evolution. The main topic today is precisely that: getting to know and listening to their stories, to the stories of the startups in the different territories, in a context of a lot of challenges, but also of a lot of opportunities like the ones we're living today. Moving on to the agenda, today we will start with a brief history of Cecilia Esquerro from 500 Startups. Cecilia will share her experience as an entrepreneur and now as a new role as an investor. Later on, we will listen to Juan Pablo Vela from UPlanner, a startup in education, Gonzalo Eazo from Chasqui, a startup in the space of mobility, and Doriana Fuentes from EMPRENDEDORES. Both in their presentations as in the panel at 10:30, where we will have the founders and we will have Cecilia as a moderator. Also, as of 11 a.m., we will have the opportunity of getting to know Pedro Grijalba from Robotic Air Systems, startup located in Peru, Mindtech. Jimena Aleman from Prometeo Open Banking, a startup of fintech. And Cristobal from Burn to Give, a startup located in Chile who's starting to expand in the region, and they work in health tech. They will also share their presentations. And then they will also be part of a panel which will be moderated by Luis Jose Globe from Consultoria Lombardia. Later at 12:30, we'll have the opportunity of listening to the serial entrepreneur Alex Torrenegra, who will talk to us about the revolution of remote working in Latin America and how COVID-19 context has actually accelerated these types of scenarios. Then in the afternoon, we will have a Greg Mitchell workshop from Angel Ventures. Greg Mitchell will be leading the workshop. It will help entrepreneurs to get prepared for their first round of investment. There, we will have the possibility of listening to the legal perspective at 5 p.m. from startup investments from different legal partners, all associates of Pickup. Now, Cecilia, the floor is yours. I truly hope you enjoy today's day. Good morning. How are you? Welcome you all, and thank you, Pickup, for inviting me to talk to you a little bit about my trajectory. I have been an entrepreneur twice, and twice I have had to make the tough decision of leaving my business. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about resilience, and being resilient is also being anti-fragile and knowing how to renew yourself, how to renovate yourself. The first time I started my startup and failed, I thought I had seen it all. I thought that I already knew all the mistakes and I was ready to avoid them. But mistakes come in different forms, colors, and that was not what happened the second time. The first time was in 2010. I was recently graduated from college, and we founded the first co-working space in Mexico. Basically, it came from a need. I studied industrial design, and I knew that once I finished college, I was going to lose the community, the space. So I said, there has to be a better way, a place in which collaborative ideas spur and everybody works collaboratively. So I had the opportunity of studying in Milan and in Switzerland, where obviously design is far ahead. And I got to know design services, or design for services, applied to frameworks and strategy, what today we call design thinking, which in the past was not used. Design had to do with how could you do design for business, and finally they accepted that theory and that work. So when I came back to Mexico, I founded this project. It's called Integral for its name in Spanish. So I made the first mistakes. For me, getting family funding was a mistake because you're not validating your idea. A co-working is a real estate business at the end of the day, so it's pretty much cash intensive. We had to change people's habits also because people were not used to working like that. So with that said, for a year, we prepared the project with the physical space, but we did not have a single user. So we did the startup the other way around. I'm going to give you some figures. 2010, at a world scale, we only had 300 co-workings in the world. In Mexico, it was a couple. Now there's more than 20,000 co-workings in the world. So without a doubt, this was a different time. I understood and I got to know that I was working the other way around because Startup Weekend at the end became the headquarters of the first events in Mexico in a co-working space. So I went to Lean Startup, Lean methodologies. I started to understand about MVPs. I started the methodologies that exist in order to have a good shot at a successful startup. So Startup Week had an exponential growth. Mexico was one of the first places who had 10 years of, we went from 10 events a year to 60 events a year. I was one of the organizers. I got involved with that community. So my entrepreneurial spirit was now working from Startup Week, but I had to rest a little bit. So I started working in Mandala, which is an innovation agency in Mexico. It's a global agency, excuse me, where we have big clients like PepsiCo and Nestle, and we basically helped business connect to users. So I learned about marketing. I learned about managing product portfolios, non-traditional research insights, and it was a great school, if I may say, because I recharged my batteries. I was not the leader, so with my entrepreneurial spirit, I said, let's do it again. 2015, I founded Echo. Letgo nowadays is a platform for helping users to purchase their products in terms of contact lens. So apart from the first time that I started with Integral, my first company, where we innovated from the concept on, I didn't want to innovate a habit. I wanted to find an existing market, an existing need, and create the best possible service to connect. And that is why we created Leco. We have a NPS above 93, which is a world-class service. And basically, we're helping users that use contact lens. Well, they look for their solutions, their optical solutions. The usually optical stores, they give very bad service. It's almost like medicine. People have cyclical habits. So service is horrible. So we wanted to change that. We were born with WhatsApp at the same time. We do conversational commerce. All transactions happen in WhatsApp through automation and through certain bots that we have managed to grow with the platform. We went from selling 12 units a month to 12 clients, talking with them on WhatsApp, to more than 3,000 recurrent clients. 100% of our clients are recurring clients. We're focused on providing the best possible service. 5 years of a great trajectory, a lot of insights. Leco, this is where a new decision comes. We never reached the mass adoption stage. We never reached that mass adoption tipping point. So at a personal level, we had to take a tough decision of closing our startup and keep on growing personally. So the big question here is, what do you do? Do you go after your professional career or do you go after your passion for a project or for a product? So I said, let's close it. Let's go back again. Let's rest 5 years nonstop with Leco. I went through all the roles in the company. I go back to an exploration phase in which I wanted to fully understand what I learned in many years because I studied industrial design and I ended up running a business. So without a doubt, there were a lot of opportunity areas for me. And partially, I go into EIR, Entrepreneur in Residence, which is a role that 500 Startups opens, in which I am an entrepreneur and I help the portfolio. And with 500 Startups, I became aware of the fact that my experience is very important. I have sessions with the entrepreneurs, and I can see the common mistakes and how to avoid them. So being an entrepreneur in residence in 500 Startups, I actually connect once again, and I understand once again that you must design yourself also. When you design business, you design yourself at a personal level as an anti-fragile individual, designing systems by default and people that by default are able to constantly innovate and change and breaking and putting back together yourself. Something that is quite funny is that when I did my first startup, there are figures. There's a Mark Schuster study that says that the cost of launching a startup in those years was about $5 million. In 2010, it went to $50,000, and nowadays the estimate is that you can launch a startup for free or with $500. So as you can see, being an entrepreneur is every time is easier. Opening your startup or starting your startup, of course. As CIR, I start to see that there's a great affinity between the team and my trajectory. So for the people that are not aware what 500 startups are, we are the most active early stage investment fund. We have investments in more than 2,400 companies in 75 countries. And with 500 startups, we started a trajectory to actually do FIT. In May, I started working full-time with the team. I am part of the portfolio management team. I am an associate. And basically, my work is to go in and understand what is the way in which we have a relation with the current portfolio. 500 has a part in which they have an accelerator, 16 weeks program. We have a program for accelerating startups. But afterwards, we have a 9-year relationship, which are the years in which we do our investment and which we try to mentor the startup and work with them. I come in the post-accelerator stage and trying to package clearly the relationship and the value that we provide to the companies that we work with. That is what I do. So now with 500 startups, I am pretty impressed that we as entrepreneurs think that we are impacting millions of people. And yes, that might be the case. But now as a VC ecosystem, I feel that I am part of a broader ecosystem in which the impact multiplies due to all the investments we have. So I am able to transmit and to convey my message and my knowledge to the entrepreneurs. If we work together, the impact will be bigger. So that's my story in a nutshell. That is how I have been able to reinvent myself and how I have learned to be resilient and anti-fragile. So thank you very much for this space. We will be talking in a few minutes with other founders. Luis will tell us a little bit about those topics. Thank you very much. Good morning to you all. Ceci is leaving for a while, but she'll be back for the panel. Any question you can ask in the platform, and we're also on YouTube. Personally, it's a very nice day. We have the core of entrepreneurship. We have cases from Peru, from Latin America, and we also have Alex at the end of the day at 12:30. So without any further ado, we're going to start with the first part of the stories. We're going to open with Juan Pablo Mena. He is the CEO of UPlanner, startup in the space of education. He will tell us what he does. Then we will go to Gonzalo Vegaso, CEO and co-founder of Chasqui, a company of logistics, last mile logistics in Peru with presence in the region. And we will end the first day of our stories with Doriana Puentes, Chief Operation Officer and co-founder of Venture. So, Juan Pablo, there you are. The floor is yours. Good morning. Thank you, Luis. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor to share with you the experience during the coronavirus and how we are impacting in education in the region. Wonderful. Education is one of our challenges as a region, so we're very happy to listen to what you're doing. Juan Pablo, the floor is yours, my friend. Thank you very much. I am the CEO of UPlanner. We co-founded UPlanner with other 4 people. I am 41 years old, 17 years working in e-tech. For me, it has been a privilege to do something that is my passion. I majored in engineering. I specialized in mathematical algorithms and AI. I work in optimization associated to systems too. And then the first codes of UPlanner were coded in 2004, in which we modeled first optimization of a university that needed more infrastructure to cater to more students. It worked very well. And since then, we said, let's start our company. Next slide, please. We have been working in different topics. One of them is coverage. Coverage has been a huge challenge for the region. Nowadays, only students between 18 and 25, only 40% of people actually study. That's a huge economic challenge and problem and competitiveness for the region. Efficiencies. Universities use less than 50% of their resources. They use it in an inefficient manner. More than 50% of the students drop out of college or during their career or never go into college. And in terms of quality in the region, we only have one institution within the top 100 universities in the QS ranking, just one. That's a huge challenge also as a region in terms of competitiveness. Next slide, please. So COVID-19 actually brought all these problems and they even make them bigger. People are dropping even more from college, 20, 30% more. Coverage also has been very impacted. A lot of private universities, private institutions have actually dropped the price of their tuition. And there is another effect. And it's the fact that there's a lot of pressure for public institutions and free education of students that want to enter those programs. Students that were formerly studying in private institutions and now they're moving to public institutions. As you, from our company, we're helping universities to optimize the resources and improve the experience of our clients, both presence and online, both face-to-face and online. This is a huge challenge, of course. We are present in 16 countries. We impact 2.5 million students. 90% of this is in Latin America. So we focus. It's part of our strategy. And we're starting to work in other continents also. We just signed a very nice alliance with Harvard University through LASPOUT and the Technological of Monterrey, Tech Monterrey, LASPOUT, us and Tech Monterrey. We are part of this project of the Ministry of Peru, with the IDB, who also helps the ministry to work on these topics. And we are working with the 20 main public institutions of Peru, which encompass 350,000 students. We are using our products, we're providing our products here, and we're very happy to be part of such a big project and working with the best institutions around the world in education. This has been an honor for us. It's one of our milestones, also working with the Ministry of Peru, where we see that there's a huge desire to change, especially now with the coronavirus situation. In the 16 countries that we have a presence, we work with the best institutions, with the number 1 or number 2 universities. In Chile, we work with the Catholic University, with the University of Chile, with the University of Concepcion, which are very prestigious. University of Pacifico, UTC, and University San Marcos, and other institutions in Peru. We have more than 30 institutions. Very innovative institutions like Senaki and ISIL. University Continental, the Continental University here, we have had a great success in terms of reducing the dropout ranking. In Colombia, we work with the University of the Andes. In Mexico, we work with Tech Monterrey. We have alliances, UNAM of Mexico. So we're actually very happy with the very important institutions that we provide our services to. In other regions, we started a project in the Arab Emirates, also in the US, in Australia, also with very important institutions. Next slide. We basically work in three main areas. One is optimization, where we have AI algorithms which optimize the use of infrastructure and also drop costs of that institutions have. They optimize schedules for students and for teachers. In assessment, we do a follow-up of the learning cycle of each student in each one of its competencies. We do machine learning in order to learn from the students that dropped out in the past in order to predict possible dropout risks. We also have an area of consulting and studies in which we strengthen our other areas in order to help institutions thrive. We have a lot of success cases, universities that have improved the size of their students. The Peruvian case of ESIL is pretty impressive because they achieved dropping operational costs by 10% in a single month by using our technology. In the area of assessment, we work with main universities. We work with Anahuac. They have more than 3,000 syllabus online education. We have a tracking of the learning of the student in each one of the syllabus. It's a very nice project. This assessment is a very beautiful product, in my opinion. In Catholic University, they have 5 programs that have ABET accreditation and international engineering certificate of quality. And the University of the Pacific, where we doubled the evidence gathered for the assessments of each course. In the area of student experience, we are working with the Continental University. They had more than 30% of reduction on their overall dropout rate by using our machine learning technology. They were able to focus their resources in dropout risk students, and they helped a lot of students. They dropped the dropout rates significantly. In the area of studies, we have worked with government, the Directorate of Education of Mexico. We did a pilot. We did a pilot in which we were able to increase by 11% first year enrollment without augmenting or increasing infrastructure or costs. This is a project that fills us with pride because in Mexico, it's more than 5,000 students that have been able to access to very prestigious institutions in Mexico. Next slide, please. Why are we here? Why do we do this? Our social impact is very big. We have more than 80% of vulnerable students that are being impacted by technology. Public institutions, and we're working with 3 governments: Mexico, the Arab Emirates, and now Peru. With all the evidence that we have, a lot of institutions have given us, have recognized us as the #1 EdTech in Latin America. Microsoft gave us a global award in 2017 and other types of awards that we have received. So we're very proud of the progress. My message at the end of the day is that coronavirus has been a huge challenge for us. We have worked hand in hand with the governments. The governments have accepted our help. We have done alliances or joint ventures with Tech Monterrey and Harvard. And this has, without a doubt, been a huge challenge for us. Working during the pandemic. It has a lot of bad things, but there's one good thing, that everything that's happening in education, it's moving to digital, which is our natural ecosystem. So we are very good in actually venturing in those types of waters. And we're having a big impact, a massive impact, and a scalable impact. And that is what we want to do in Peru with the main public institutions and private institutions that were not working digitally before. Thank you very much. Juan Pablo, thank you very much. We're going to have 2 more stories for 15 minutes, and at the end, we're going to have a panel moderated by Cecilia, where we will get some questions from the audience. So leave your comments, leave your questions in the platform chat. While Gonzalo gets ready, Gonzalo Vegaso, CEO of Chasqui, we're going to, Gonzalo is getting ready. Gonzalo, how are you? Good morning. Very happy to be here in a new version of Pickup. As always, Pickup catering and helping entrepreneurs and ecosystems in Peru. Gonzalo, thank you for being here, and also thank you for the support you're giving us. So when you're ready, the floor is yours, Gonzalo. Sure. Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen. Please confirm if you're seeing me. Please confirm if you can see my screen. You can't see it, right? My name is Gonzalo Vegaso. I am the co-founder and CEO of Chasqui. I am a tech entrepreneur. Before being an entrepreneur, I was an executive in different companies, tech companies in Silicon Valley. I worked for IBM, for Microsoft. I worked for several startups, and I worked for Google in California for 6 years. Then I came back to Peru. I was the CFO of AGE Group, the company, big bottling company. And since 2015, I embarked together with my 2 co-founders in Chasqui, Renzo Mares Rodriguez Sancho. And it has been 5 extraordinary years in which I left my executive CFO life in order to start multitasking and dedicating myself completely to Chasqui. And now I want to tell you what we're doing and how our journey has been. We are very proud to tell you that Chasqui, we started with our first line in Arequipa in Peru, and now we have become the most important network in terms of last mile logistics or last mile delivery in Latin America, focusing in retail and e-commerce companies. We operate with vans, motorcycles, big vehicles. And what we dedicate ourselves to is to have fast and safe deliveries for these types of companies. Our clients are the companies that hire us to deliver packages to households or offices of their clients. We do the next day and the same day delivery. We obviously work with Amazon in Mexico with Prime clients, same day deliveries. Same day deliveries, just like in the US. We can do that according to the agreements with our clients. We also have scheduled deliveries in specific windows, for example, or at specific hours. We do that with Nespresso in Argentina and Mexico, taking the pods, the famous Nespresso pods. And we also have express delivery, fast delivery, in order to deliver packages in less than 1 hour. Here, we do it with Walmart, for example, in Argentina, in Peru with Toto Plaza Vega. We are not a sales channel. Our clients are the ones that sell through their apps and webs. We do distribution. We are only distributors for our clients. We are currently operating in 13 cities, 4 countries. In Mexico, we are in all the cities you can see here in the slide. In Argentina, as you can see, we have operations in Buenos Aires, in Chile, in Santiago. In fact, we acquired a leading startup for ultra-fast 1 hour, 3 hour deliveries called Todoba. We acquired, now it's called Todoba Chasqui. We're changing the name a little bit. And yesterday, speaking with some of our partners about the ecosystem, they reminded us of the fact that we already reached a milestone that we wanted to share with you, and this that we are the first Peruvian startup that has done a money transaction buying a Chilean startup. So we were the first ones that have done a merger and acquisitions here in Peru. So we feel that you, even if you're a startup, you can be do M&As. In Peru, we work in Arequipa with our first line of code, but we operate from Lima and we operate from Arequipa and Trujillo too. Unfortunately, I cannot give you concrete data right now, but I want you to see the exponential growth that we have had year to year. We started in Peru, trying to find our space, trying to roll out our MVP. We thank the first companies that trusted us. We had a key moment where Platanitos, one of the most important Peruvian e-commerces, opened their doors to work with them with ultra-fast deliveries, which opened the doors to other clients. It was a very important validation of our product. And then we were able to meet with the guys from Mercado Libre in Argentina, who helped us to understand the delivery service in Argentina. We entered Argentina in 2017. We validated that our business model was able to be successful in other countries. And this was the main evidence in terms of our model. So we said, where to go now? We said, let's go to the biggest Latin American country, which is Mexico. We opened in Mexico City, and we slowly started opening in the other cities of Mexico. Chile came next, and we're also arriving to other cities in Mexico. Here, we can see the big leap. We were in an upward trend, but the last quarter has been crazy due to the pandemic. On the right, I can see some of the logos of companies and funds that have been with us. From Wyra, our first fund, NXTP Lab from Argentina. We won Startup Peru in the G4 and G5. Then Inca Ventures. We are Endeavor Entrepreneurs in 2018. Village Global from Silicon Valley and Fen Ventures from Chile have been our investors. As I was saying, we thank them. They're part of the ecosystem, and that is how the ecosystem helps you grow. And helps you pursue your dreams. We have more than 500 clients, as I was saying. These are companies that hire us. These are some of our clients. It's important to say that half of these clients are SMEs. We don't only work with the Amazons, the Walmarts, and the Falabelas of the world. We also work with SMEs and what we call the social network seller. For example, someone that sells baby clothing from Facebook, we help those type of entrepreneurs, and we provide the same quality service that we give to our big clients. So in the pandemics, what we have learned is that the pandemic has been the biggest accelerator and booster for digital transformation and adoption. And we can see that in our growth. This curve, this slide shows you the green line is how we were growing in a consolidated fashion steadily. The yellow one is 2019, and the blue one is 2020. We have been growing year to year by 2.5, which has obviously generated exponential growth. Year to year is very good growth. But as of the pandemics, we are growing fivefold. So from a business perspective, this is spectacular because e-commerce grew, and we see great figures around the world and in the region. But obviously, this generates that we needed to see if we were actually prepared to face that challenge. And I am very proud to say that as entrepreneurs, we have never worked as hard as now. As you know, being an entrepreneur is the toughest job in the world, at least for me. I have been an executive in different companies, and I have led different companies, but I think that being an entrepreneur is the toughest job. but the credit goes to our team, without a doubt. Our team has been able to generate resilience and have helped our technology to scale in order to satisfy the needs of the market, in order to cater to our clients with the same level of service that we had in the past, and new clients take them to the aha moment, to the eureka moment, by saying, wow, what a great service from Chasky, even during the pandemic. So every month of the pandemic in which we saw growth, we have been growing at a 45% month-to-month rate. We were saying, my God, what's that going to happen next month? What's going to happen next month? And it hasn't stopped. That was the big question. What about next month? Uncertainty is the trend right now. This is a trend that McKinsey presented in terms of years of e-commerce penetration in the United States. We can see that from 2009 to 2019, e-commerce positioned a little bit above 10% of all the sales of the companies in the United States. But in the last months of Q1, it grew in 3 months what they grew in 10 years. So e-commerce now is about 30 or 35% of all sales in the States. That clearly shows the trend and the tailwind that's taking Chasky to the next level. This data is not exactly calculated in terms of dollars, as McKinsey has with Bank of America. We don't have the data for Latin America. But I can share with you this slide. This slide is the case study of e-commerce adoption in Lima. Look at this. This is the capital city. Here on the left, we see all deliveries that Chasky made in March. And for the people that don't know Lima, I can show you that this green area is the area where the highest social income families are. And the outskirts are where the families with lowest income are. But on the right, take a look at July. We have 5-folded in Lima. And what's really impressive about this is that the growth didn't happen in high-income households. It happened at all levels, and especially in the outskirts of the city where the families with the lowest incomes reside. What is this showing us? There's a new buyer. There's a new client for e-commerce. There's a new client that moved to e-commerce. A lot of people are doing their first purchases via a mobile phone, and this is what's happening. We have to thank this man, because thanks to this man, the person that actually is in charge of the deliveries, 40 families can stay at home per day thanks to this guy. In industry statistics, this person can do 40 deliveries. That's industry statistics. So that is where we get this 40 families that can actually stay at home per day. From a service level perspective, usually in Latin America, they said, yeah, we have a lot of problems. Logistics take forever. Deliveries take forever. Now I'm getting my packages for 2 weeks. Before it was 2 days. That didn't happen with Chasky. From a service level perspective, 97% of the cases, we delivered the packages. 92% of cases, we delivered the packages in 24 hours since the moment we received them from the retail. And in 93% of cases, we closed any question with a first contact resolution. So our service level actually didn't have any problems. In all countries where we operate, police are stopping our deliveries, our delivery people. Stores were closing. So even under those conditions, we never ceased to deliver a package, and we never stopped. What are Chasky's clients doing? They're opening digital channels. Their automation is becoming the key. They're finding new clients, new customers, Digital, they're pivoting their business model. Brick and mortar is closed or it's not fully open. And we're also seeing that they are reimagining the customer journeys with a zero or no contact experience. And this is where we see a positive trend. The BCG did this study with the feeling, sentiment of consumers in Latin America in May, and the lowest perceived risk activity is precisely buying online, is ordering delivery services like Uber or everything. They prefer no contact right now. So we see that tailwind that is going to keep on happening. And we recognize trends like the one that McKinsey made, where they observed that in China and in the US and in Europe, the main players like Alibaba, JD, Amazon are already having same day delivery as a top priority. Same day delivery is something that they are providing, and it's becoming the new normal. Obviously, our role of educating our clients and helping our clients, we're starting to actually pushing this option as even as a core competency. This slide shows optimism and recovery. This is also a study by McKinsey, where we can clearly see how optimistic or how pessimistic are you in terms of post-COVID recovery. And in down low, you can see how much more will you use your savings or your income in this time. And we can see, for example, here Peru as a country that is very optimistic, but they also say, I don't know if I'm going to spend more or less. Some countries in Latin America also in the same line of optimism above the region. But as you can see that there's optimism. That's the message in the slide. And due to that optimism, we as entrepreneurs keep on working hard, keep investing in the cities. And that is part of what we look for in Chasque. Keep on generating new services, going to new cities, and now we're going to Colombia. That is my presentation. Thank you very much for having me and for telling you a little bit about the story of my startup. Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Gonzalo. Apart from an e-commerce masterclass, it was very interesting. Chasqui's growth is just incredible. And on behalf of the Peruvian ecosystem, we're very happy to see that hockey stick performance. I would like to take the message of optimism too. First of all, our solidarity with the people that are not doing well in this situation. But from an entrepreneurial or corporate standpoint, it's a great opportunity. And we have to try to find the opportunities and make the most out of the opportunities. A lot of entrepreneurs are present here, so I'm glad for this positive message. Ride the wave, find the opportunities, know that you can tackle opportunities. While we're waiting for Oriana, I also wanted to mention our sponsors. I would like to thank AWS, BitLab, Cofide, Inca Ventures, Lombardia Consulting, and Wyra Latin America. I was going to say Wyra Peru, but we know that they have a broader regional scope. In his presentation, Gonzalo said that Startup Peru, Wyra, and Inca Ventures are organizations that have provided support to Chasqui and other Peruvian entrepreneurs. So we're very happy to hear that. Oriana, whenever you're ready. Oriana, good morning, Oriana. Thank you for being here. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to tell you a little bit about mTOR, about what we're doing, and about how we're doing during this pandemic. As a quick anecdote, I remember that at an event, we heard that mTOR did what no one had done, which was going into Brazil. Yes, that's totally true. I remember with a lot of gratitude that comment. So when you're ready, we're ready. Can you see me? Amtor is a B2B SaaS company. My co-founder Gabrielle and me founded this. My background is very corporate. I work in investment banking in New York and JP Morgan for 4 years before doing my master's in machine learning here in Columbia. And my co-founder Gabrielle has a more startup background where he worked in London in companies, web scraping companies and text sourcing, web sourcing in order provide solutions for big data. Mtor is a company that in general has automized background checks to generate trust. We build trust in seconds. The main problem that we have seen in Latin America is that there's a lot of fraud, identity theft, criminality in different countries, and especially now that the ecosystem is moving to transaction mode, be it digital banks, e-commerce, companies like Chasky. We have to find a way of generating trust with consumers, peer to peer. So it's an Uber driver, for example, or someone that is providing a service. We want to generate trust in the system and trust in the people. We have been working in this since 2016. We started in Peru, but we always had the objective of working regionally. We wanted to get into Brazil, obviously. Brazil has a set of hurdles, not only due to size, but due to legal framework, operational frameworks, financial. It's something that we have been working for a long time. We actually entered Brazil in 2018, and we have been present in Brazil since then. We have 15 people working locally. We have brought together our own databases together with government databases and different search engines within our API, which is easy accessible or easy available through Google Sheets also or through web interfaces. And we also have products like, for example, validating your ID or your social security, for example, in Latin America, social securities, looking for criminal records, your driving records. And also we can validate, for example, vehicle ownership or the different vehicle insurance, which in Latin American companies, it's called SOAT. It's the compulsory automobile insurance. Before this, everything was done manually. The problem with doing things manually is that first of all, it's very slow. But apart from manually being slow, it's also corruptible. It's a process that it's not auditable. It depends on human beings performing a task over and over again. Obviously, this brings a set of risks, and there might be incidents. It's difficult to do follow-up and accountability to those types of processes because you don't have a clear track. You don't have a registered auditable process. So usually what we do is the background check. We validate IDs, but we also start to do other types of things like know your client and anti-money laundering, which is the due diligence process in Latin America in order to do financial operations, especially in the banks. But also many of the new fintechs, many of the new financial companies that we have in Latin America that are supporting the region in order to give banking services to the region. Latin America is very urban, as you know. There's a lot of urban concentration, but a lot of people live in remote areas, people that cannot access in-person or face-to-face banks or brick and mortar banks. And obviously, during the COVID-19 this becomes even worse. You can't leave home. So fintech is growing very fast in Latin America. Not only fintech, but traditional markets like the banks, which are trying to provide better digital interaction channels with their consumers. We currently work with some of these names. I think that these are pretty recognizable names. We have worked with Uber for quite a while, with Didi, but also in Mexico, we work with Corner Shop also, which is a very important company during the COVID-19. They deliver groceries. Rappi, Triple Beat, Apetito and Luz Verde, which are companies that are more dedicated to fintech, or B2B, like Traducc, for example, has children's education. These are the industries that we support: the financial service, insurance, e-commerce, marketplaces, e-commerce, staffing. Our goal is to become a part of the necessary stack for digital traceability in Latin America, be it peer-to-peer or B2B or individual to marketplace. Staffing is also something that we're focusing on. Some companies hire people in a massive way, and especially companies in which, for example, be it supermarkets or be it delivery companies or companies that are in retail. So I feel we make that process much more efficient and much more auditable and trustworthy. As I was saying, we are in 7 countries. Now we're launching Costa Rica. We began with Peru, Colombia, and Ecuador, Mexico, Brazil, covering part of Latin America, and we're starting to work with other countries, smaller countries. Here we can see some of our clients in terms of growth, as you can see in the slide. We have mainly been bootstrapped. We have a couple of investing partners, but as Gonzalo said, our growth has been very fast in the 4 years that we have been working. In COVID-19, we started to see even bigger or faster growth. We did a big pivot to focus on Brazil, to focus on the clients that were actually growing, and we were able to generate growth once again in Q2 between April and June. What we did was the following. We started to see what was happening in the market. So we started focusing on clients that were doing things right and were having a surge in their activity: food delivery, medicine, pharmacies. And we also focused on internal cleanup in the companies. What do I mean by that? In a startup, everything is chaotic and fast. So in a way, pausing and COVID gave us a time to reorganize processes. We always had a strong vision in terms of the fact that mTOR had a lot of potential for growth, especially when the region became more digital. In a moment of tough economic times, we thought that we were going to be able to grow and support economies, like gig economies. And that is what we have been seeing in Q3. Q2 was the time where we got ready, we cleaned our house, and we worked on what we knew. And now we are strengthening our processes. We have rethought our support to certain clients, marketing, and also internally we have tried to double down on culture, on team support, and that was basically what we did in a difficult quarter, a quarter filled with uncertainty. So we wanted to get ready for what was coming. and be much more ready to what will happen in the future and in the countries that we were operating. We have a pretty much international culture. We are a engineering-driven company culture. We are still a remote company, but now everything is remote. So mTOR, due to we are a small company, we have always worked remotely. We have always been multinational, and we have had people all around Latin America, even in the world. We focused on engineering, and we have a lot of expertise in law. Our founding team has a combination of Wall Street background, Silicon Valley background. I live in New York. You can listen to the engines, as you can see. That's the typical sound here in New York. The transition to work in tough times in the pandemic from a logistical standpoint was not so hard for us because that was our natural playground, remote work. But it was a good moment, an important moment to keep the team together, solid, and actually bet on what we thought the future would bring. What do we foresee in the future? Digitalization is going to be king of every single service, at least in 2021. But beyond that, transition to people doing transactions online, purchasing online, even more than today, but also everything that has to do with banking services. Latin America has a lot of bureaucracy, so actually pushing the creation of systems for doing certain paperwork or processes with the government online or with private institution in a trustworthy fashion with ID verification is going to be very important. Having the data to trust the system, be it a private or a public company, is going to be very important. We have a panel at 11:30, or I don't remember, or how do we do it? I'm going to start closing, so we feel that we have a lot of potential for growth in the next quarters by supporting the digital ecosystem that we believe Latin America will need in order to have people at home safe in the next months or years, depending on to where the global transition goes, both economic transition and social transition. Oriana, thank you very much. I was in the backstage, but if you want to give a final message, please be our guest. Closing with that, I think that the pandemic has brought an opportunity to become more innovative and creative. We have rethought how to focus ourselves, and we have also rethought the team into thinking differently, being more creative, and following clear objectives. More ROIs instead of getting bigger in order to be resilient in the last 4 months that we had in the past. I had listened about EMPRENDEDORES. I know that you like to fly under the radar, but it's great to have you and to listen to you firsthand. Thank you very much. We're gonna get the panel ready. Cecilia, Juan Pablo, and Gonzalo. Cecilia will be the moderator. I just want to remind you that once we finish the panel, we have another block of stories with the same dynamic. Cecilia, the floor is yours. Thank you very much. JP, Gonzalo, Oriana. It was very inspiring. Great trajectories. This space is to talk about resilience and what makes you resilient. So I would like to start without any specific order. If you can tell us why, when Pecap invited you to talk about resilience, can you tell us a story of your personal or professional life that you can, in which you can say that you were resilient, or what do we mean by resilience? Do you have anything to tell us? JP, if you want to start. Adapting to new contexts. I think that is what makes an entrepreneur successful in a COVID context for me. I think that, as Gonzalo was saying, at the end of the day, what for a lot of people can seem to be a problem for an entrepreneur is a big opportunity. And taking the opportunity fast, I think, is what we have done. We did not show our growth in our presentation, but in Q2 was our best semester. It was our best period in history. Most of our growth has even come by new clients, new institutions that need a lot of help. For the first time in history, Harvard announced a negative EBITDA. So imagine what's happening in the rest of Latin American institutions, which have even less funding than Harvard. So dropping costs is an urgent matter for universities all around the world, but especially for Latin America, where tuition fees are 10 times lower than the ones you have in the US. So when an institution has to manage or has to exist with 10 times less money, Latin American universities are already resilient. And we have to be resilient too, because we have to move fast, we have to be agile, and we have to help institutions to do what we call a digital transformation, but an accelerated one. The dean of Uniandes in Colombia, for example, he was saying that what they had planned for 10 years has accelerated in 3 months. And as he was saying, we dreamt about having full online classes, full online where the student has a great experience. We dreamt about that for 10 years, and now we had to do it in 3 months, and they were able to do it. There are a lot of institutions that are increasing their students, and public universities also are increasing the number of people coming in. So I think that being resilient, at the end of the day, is being a subject matter expert and trying to see what type of fine tuning you can do in your company in order to be agile in such turbulent waters. Thank you, JP. Oriana, Gonzalo, any thoughts? What makes us resilient is part of the company culture. Many of our team members have migrated from industries. We have migrated professionally. We have this culture of a renaissance men and women. And I think that that is part of our spirit of being creative. We were always remote. I would like to emphasize that. So we are a company that has mainly been bootstrapped. So working creatively with few resources has been necessary from the beginning. And trying to do something as big and as regional as going into Mexico and Brazil without any experience in working in such countries has been, for us, has given us much more resilience. Because in my role, for example, you have to have a global scope and you have to have a global mindset. You have to learn, reinvent yourself, rapidly change, rapidly pivot. So I think that for us, that's resilience. Right. We had clients who were already operating in e-commerce, and they have actually made the most of the opportunity and grew, and they have grown a lot. But we had clients that had a project for e-commerce in Q4. So we have received a lot of calls from company CEOs, clients, or potential clients saying, listen, what can I do? I don't know what to do. I have to launch my e-commerce next week. And I was thinking about just starting to hire my e-commerce manager in 2 months. So resilience in our case is that in Chasqui, we bring those potential clients and we try to help them with the knowledge that we have, which actions they wanted to take, and we help them there. The story of our affiliates, of our drivers, for example, is the story of people that lost their jobs from one day to an overnight, but they have a van, they have a bike, they have a car, and we gave them the opportunity of making some bucks in order to feed their families. I am proud of the fact that in the last 4 months, we have added more than 2,000 affiliates to our database, or to our base, which are people that have lost their jobs. They have lost the opportunity of making money. Here in Peru, we even became famous because we opened the doors to school mobility. Here in Peru, your dad or your mom takes you to school, or you take a specific route or a bus with 20 kids. The schools closed and those vans had no clients because they couldn't take the kids to school. So we brought them to Chasqui, we trained them, and we have more than 75 vans that were used for students' transportation. In terms of resilience, the story of Chasqui is how we faced an extreme crisis situation with all the pieces moving, and not thinking about how can I be stable, but thinking how can I cater to my clients, which are growing and which are growing importantly. So resilience for us is a positive resilience, finding intelligence, finding transformation, learning fast in order to do 5 more things differently from what we did in the past. The process of bringing new people, new partners, understanding, becoming, having efficient onboarding. In the past, we had a normally paced onboarding, but now we had to fly, what to be at the speed of light. So for us, not losing the level of service is resilience. Delivering 92% in 24 hours when the rest of the traditional industry takes 8 days was a clear token of what we have been able to do. Incredible. I had a doubt. At a C-suite level, you obviously spearhead or are at the head of your companies, as that is, I think that is culture. How the CEO performs, that's how the company will perform. At a personal level, do you think that you are born being resilient? Is it something that you learn? And if you learn it, how? Can you identify someone that is not resilient? What makes you different? Why do you think you are resilient? Are you born with that feature as an entrepreneur, or is it something that you learn? In my case, I think that changing career paths, maybe excessively, but this has, there were a lot of times in which I was very uncomfortable in the space I was in my new role. So I had to learn. I studied chemistry, then I studied economy. I worked in trading, in investment bank in Wall Street. I left all of that to study machine learning, and I didn't have undergraduate studies in engineering. I am an accountant. I am a lawyer. I change my hats on a daily basis. Okay, so I think that having those moments in which you start from scratch, to be honest, gives you resilience. Why? Because it makes you strong in complicated moments. COVID-19 for a lot of people was, my God, the end of the world. I don't know what to do. The uncertainty, what's going to happen. I want to be feel comfortable again. So I think that that is part of my personal experience, but it's also part of what we have built from a culture perspective within mTOR. We're always lean. We try to be dynamic. We try to adapt to different time zones, to different cultures. It's a virtual environment that we have from the beginning, I think, is what has made us resilient. I see it from a perspective on the message that we try to convey, and it's the Chasqui culture. We want every one of our employees to be an entrepreneur. And when you bring that together with resilience, you can see it in that light. We're very practical. Number one, finding people that are able to analyze the root of the problem. Not only the problem, but what is the root of the problem? If you find the root of the problem and you change it, you will solve the ongoing problem. Also, people that are able to control their emotions. Our daily business is pretty stressful, long hours. Your family wants you to be there and you keep on working. So we have to be very calm to face our daily lives and to be able to do it in the less stressful manner possible. Being realistic, we try to be as practical as possible. And being realistic in the sense of the word that we would like to be a global startup, yes, and we will be global, but we have to go step by step in order to reach that point, in order to have a solid base that allows us to get there. And finally, we are looking for speed. I think that speed is in the sense that I cannot take 1 week to make a decision that I need to make in 15 minutes. Empowering your team, being empowered for decision making. In Chasqui internally, we make jokes with this with the phrase. We say I would rather tell me you're sorry than to ask me for permission. That's like one of our mottos or slogans, and that is the message that we want to convey. These are some of the basic things that we like to work on. Ours is an organization in which the people have levels of resilience that make the organizations as a whole to be resilient. Gonzalo, at a personal level, where do you think you get that resilience? Is it what you have learned? Is it natural? I have had the opportunity of working in Silicon Valley and startups. I lived there for 12 years and I have become involved with the ecosystem, of course. And resilience to me was something that I started to listen from my friends. So I started to listen to those narratives. And now I am also an angel investor. And in fact, I had a crazy idea in 2016. I wanted to talk to 200 entrepreneurs that year, and I was able to talk to 155. So I didn't reach my goal, but I had 155 stories that I learned from. And that's part of my toolkit of resilience. Uh, so that combination with being a global executive, I think, is something that gives me the possibility of having resilience and leading resilient people. JP, what are your views? What personal experiences have made you resilient? I specialized in AI and I have worked in different industries. I have modeled different realities, predictions, predictability, a very entertaining mathematical exercise. But on the other hand, I would say that what I think that has made me resilient is my learning capabilities and adaptation. I am a first generation of my family that actually went to college. And many people from my company are also first generation. Being a first generation university graduate is a very symbol of pride, but it's also something that you have to learn by yourself. You can't ask anyone, for example, hey, how's college? Tell me. No one can tell you anything. You have to learn everything by yourself. When we say found, education is a way of helping people change and adapt to a new context. And that in that new context, for example, that person actually becomes productive and generates employment like Chasky or like Emtor, generating employment and helping the country grow. But what helps you do that is education. We are passionate about impacting students that had no access to education. As I was telling you, 80% of our students are vulnerable students or first generation college students. If you want to have a lot of Chaskis, a lot of mentors in the region, we could actually change the economy of our countries and become much more competitive. But how can you do that without education? Look at the education that Gonzalo and Oriana had. It's impossible for them not to be resilient. So in terms of adapting or constantly adapting, I think that it's something that I could say that makes us resilient. Adaptation. Even though we have studied a lot, we have a growth mindset. We adapt to anything because any new thing is subject to learn. We will read another book, we will read another article, but we are always learning. We're not afraid of learning. We're not afraid of embarking on new projects. In some universities, we got to the university told us, how are you going to cater to all our students? And we tell them, it's 10 of us. Today, it's 60 people in our company, but at the beginning, we were 10. Wait a second, you're 10 people and we are 200,000 students, thousands of teachers. It's impossible for you to improve my processes. It's only 10 people. And we told them, we have the tech, we have the product, let us try. So we tried to show clear evidence. But at the beginning, it has always been a matter of adapting for success. So the traction during these times has been tough because universities talk among them. And at the end, word of mouth is very important for getting new clients. Pacifico University, working with us, will tell all the other universities how their experience with U-Planner went. Learning. Another thing that I wanted to mention, I think that you were talking about creativity, decision making, being fast. I think that a lot of resilience has to do with that. Decision making, making a decision or not, and based on that, learning. I don't know if you can share if you have any type of methodologies for decision making or best practices or what allows you to advance in that sense. We do have methodologies. You have two types of decision making, formal and informal. The formal one is usually linked to the fact that you're trying to generate certain levels of the organization, trying to be as flat as possible. but also empowering everyone to make a decision. And in practical terms, we tell our people, listen, you have managed to have a Chasqui offer because you're intelligent, you have a great background, you have the knowledge and experience. Based on that, you have criteria, and you can decide and you are a decision maker. And also, you can decide, for example, if am I the best person to take this decision, or should I take it to my manager? So that's when we try to empower our employees, and we tell them, use your criteria, make decisions. If you see perceived risk that is not within your risk appetite, take it to your manager. That is like the formal, organized mechanism that we have, excuse me. But in the informal world, we have one-on-ones all the time with the different levels of the organization, committees, in which we don't want to have 1,000 meetings, but we want to understand that if you're calling me for a meeting, it's because we have to make a big decision, okay? So it's not meeting per se. When meetings happen, it's because they are very important. So that lean structure has allowed us to succeed. In terms of COVID-19, it was very important to have a crisis committee. Just when we didn't even have to wait for the pandemic in the countries, or we didn't have to wait for the lockdown. When it started in China, we activated our crisis committee, and we have had a daily crisis committee with every country in order to analyze topics and make decisions. So in 1 hour, we made decisions. Amazing. Thank you very much. In order to make decisions, we have an internal group. Apart from Gabrielle and me, we have a leadership committee, which is comprised by each one of the team leaders. Infrastructure, sales, project management. The 7 leaders sit down on Fridays in order to discuss all types of topics. It's open. So we talk about strategy, we talk about product, we talk about sales. So the decisions are made at a committee level. Leadership as a group has been open for 1.5 years within the organization. We created due to a crisis that we had some time ago. And from there, the reaction was to actually have an open conversation, but have like a first mutual support team for decision making. For COVID-19, we have been monitoring the topic or the issue since January, I think, February. I started to prepare myself from a financial impact possibility since January. And we were going to travel to Peru. 40 people for our annual offset for the end of March. And we had to cancel that at the last minute. I was 2 days before traveling to Lima. I would have been trapped in Lima. My father would have been very happy. And it was a joint decision. So it was, look, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. We see news here in the United States. The offsite was canceled. So we migrated to a virtual offsite in order to keep the speakers in much of the content that we were having. We had to do internal changes. This was something that we discussed on a Sunday afternoon. We started discussing these matters. This is what's going on. This is what we see. This is the data. What do you think? What are your concerns? So we captured the voices of the different people from an organization, if I may say. Very good. Thank you very much. We have a strong directorate. We work with the World Bank. We have great people. So every topic of education, we talk with him. And the directorate or our group gets together once a month. We make huge decisions there, creating new products, new budgets. And the smaller decisions, we have a leadership weekly committee where we see all the problems. And we see all the problems that we have weekly. We have 8 launches, for example, with new universities. We have to be careful, for example, on Wednesday because we have a new university. We have implemented JKR for the last 2 years. So that has actually helped us to have alignment because I provide the big strategic quarter topics and then everything simmers down very well to the team and everybody is pretty much aligned. So we had different committees too. And in the crisis committee, we aligned, for example, we didn't know what was going to happen. So we maximized the cash flow, for example. So we tripled the cash flow in 3 months. And in spite of that, we start circling and preparing for the worst, but also managing the different scenarios to be at ease. We had an investment round that we're going to do now for this trimester. We actually are going to do it next year. So having a cash flow was something that we didn't need at the moment, and there's no impact in growth. So I think that we have been managing, testing or surfing the tide, if I may say, and making the most of all the opportunities that we have in the best possible way. Making weekly decisions, and the biggest decisions are made every month. Amazing. Thank you very much, Oriana, Gonzalo, JP. A lot of information, very valuable information, a lot of inspiration. Thank you very, very much. Luis. Thank you, Cecilia, Oriana, Juan Pablo, Gonzalo. Once again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your flexibility. We are learning and adapting to this virtual mode also. Content has been very valuable for the audience, and thank you once again on behalf of PECAP and the organizing committee. Thanks to all. Bye-bye. Well, we get ready for the second part. I also want to highlight, I would also like to mention Rebus, our tech partner. Rebus is the platform that is bringing the event to you. It's also a story of resilience. I didn't want to forget Rebus. I wanted to mention Rebus and thank Rebus for the support that they are providing. In the second part of the stories, we're going to have 3 15-minute presentations. These presentations will later on have a panel too. Jose Yobe from Lombardia Consulting will be in charge of that. So the first story that we will share comes from Robotical Systems. It's going to be given by Pedro Grijalba, CEO and co-founder of Robotic Air Systems. Then we will move to the fintech world. We have Jimena Aleman from Prometeo Open Banking, also a co-founder of this company, Latin American company. And finally, we have the story of Cristobal de la Mayora. He is the CFO and the co-founder of this company from Chile. So Cata, let me know. Pedro, hi, Pedro. Welcome, Pedro. How are you? Hey, Luis, how are you? Thank you for your invite. In Peru, we have the concept of a startup associated to software, but now we're moving to hardware and how you have been adapting to this new normal. So welcome. The Small Nightmare. I'm going to tell you a little bit about robotical systems, and then we will move on to the steps that we followed to answer to COVID-19. That is how we're going to speak. I'm going to share a presentation, PowerPoint, and there's a video that I hope you can see. I will begin. Okay, I'm ready. Luis, please confirm that you're watching my screen. Yes, we're here. Thank you. Robotic Air Systems is a company of hardware, different to what we usually find here in Latin America. But I would like to talk about the evolution, how we started, where this comes from. It's actually a very nice story. And it has to do with music. This is a very special guitar. It's a Van Halen guitar, which summarizes what links us to Giancarlo Marchesi, my partner. That is Giancarlo. We are in a drone fair in Germany. The main thing is that robotics air system wouldn't exist without Giancarlo. He's a great guy, organized, methodic, talented. And as I say there, with the capacity of providing speed to a Buddhist monk. He's unstoppable, a force of nature. I met Giancarlo since I was a kid. We have been friends since kids. And during our teens, I'm not a musician. He is a very good musician. But I helped him to build his first music study in the basement of his parents' home. We had finished college. We were very young. And that was the first project that we did together. How to do an acoustic music study. It was a very interesting project. We never thought that was going to lead us to robotics. Some time ago in 2016, a long time after that, he started his career. He went to college. He went to Princeton. And he went by my office. And he had an audiovisual company where he developed the drone systems. And the drone system, he thought it was very interesting. He thought there was a lot of potential. So he started becoming involved in my company. And what is robotic air systems? His initiative is that RAS is what it is today thanks to his initiatives. And we got our first investors through him. RAS, or RAS, Robotic Air Systems, for its name in Spanish, we design and produce air robotic systems of high performance focused on high altitude and extreme conditions. When I say this, people told me, but what are you doing in Peru? This is not the most complex. This is a very complex place to work in such a limited ecosystem. You should be working somewhere else. That's very interesting, I usually say, because you have to assess several things. And that is what I like to answer to those questions with another question, which is the following. Do you know how complex it would be for any company in the world to have a research team and a developer team to work in altitudes of more than 5,000 meters above sea level? Do you know what that means? Tests, performance, repeating, adjusting once over again, a scientific methodology, trial and error, because not all formulas work and not all formulas will work. You must also try to evidence and test, even more in these extreme conditions where things are changing. And then we send them to the desert, and then what's more, we send them to the jungle. So as you can see, the problem here ends up being very peculiar, and it ends up being very simple here in the city where we are. In only 90 kilometers, we have access to altitudes of more than 5,000 meters. You can have all types of altitudes, all types of weathers in those 90 kilometers. We have a scenario that is very rich for our company, for our technology. So, geographical diversity of Peru defines the fundamental feature of our brand. It gives us form, it strengthens us, and it's the best way to become specialized and become competitive. We are very proud of Peru. We are very proud of our country. Here in the Sierra, between 3,000 and 5,000 meters, this is where we have big mining operations in the country of Peru. Since for the last 2 years, we have focused the development of our systems in order to face the challenges that the mining industry has, allowing us to operate efficiently in these complex places. We have the sensors, we have the softwares that could be impossible to operate in commercial equipment. They are not ready to operate with these winds under these hazardous low oxygen conditions. I'm not going to go into the technical tech specs. It's the part that I'm more passionate about, but I have prepared a short video that summarizes what we have been able to develop. And I can show you some iconic projects. I'm going to play the video right now. I'm going to play the video. I hope that you can see the video. We are currently doing a mapping of this archaeological area by working with our technology. This work team is comprised by RAS, specialists in air robotic intelligence, and another company which is specialized in these types of operations. For this project, we use Geox Ultra 7. It's a 6-engine drone. It can have a huge potency that allows it to fly to 3,200 meters above sea level, lifting 7 kilograms. We provide very accurate coordinates. The final product is a digital model of the terrain. Robotic Systems and the Geographical Institute of Peru signed an agreement in order to explore new technologies for all the processes of cartography, tridimensional mapping. So we help the Peruvian Institute to certify that these new methodologies are compatible with the products, with the deliverables used for this type of industry. The world is moving fast due to technology, and we, as a Peruvian institution, we have to learn from the companies that have the cutting edge for these type of technologies. I hope that you're listening to me. This is a short summary of what we do at Robotic Air System, some hardware, some software, and everything that has to do with design, drones, communication with different type of sensors. We were doing well. Business was doing well, the normal hurdles of entrepreneurship. And we were shocked with COVID-19, with all the measures that we were taken, and we keep on moving forward. The things that happened affected us all, closing the borders, market panicking, lockdowns, industry paralysis, horrible scenario for a hardware company with imported pieces that we have to go out to the field to validate our designs and train our clients in the use of equipment. I mean, this was not a good time for us. The fact that we were under a lockdown actually was not good for us. And different from a startup or a company that writes software that can work remotely, in robotic air systems, we need machines. We create hardware. We need the tools. We need the equipment. We need our labs and teamwork. We have been becoming specialists in engineering, manufacturing, design. So it's a joint work that must be done directly. So yes, without a doubt, it was tough for us. It was not something that we had foreseen. So we took this as a new challenge, to be honest. And at the same time as an experimentation lab, just as we do with geography, we took this as an opportunity to understand and to learn and to focus on certain problems that we had. We had 5 main steps that we took and that I would like to show you. Step 1, the financial step. What can we do now? If this becomes paralyzed, we're not going to have cash flow, we're not going to have revenue, what are we going to do? So we said, number 1, we have to reduce expenses due to the uncertainty. And the key point here, I think, was the human relationship that we have with the team. It's not a big team, but still, each one of the members of our team, each individual in the company has different financial possibilities in terms of facing a lockdown and survive. We didn't know what was going to happen. There was a lot of fear. We have most of our people are young people that cannot actually pass the coronavirus to their parents or to their grandparents. So with each one of the members of our team, we had an open conversation so we could actually together push our company and push economic stability and actually keep our company open while keeping our members alive. We can leave this part for the panel, Pedro, okay? So we can commit to our agenda. Is that possible? Yes, sure thing. Thank you, Pedro. In order to actually be on schedule, okay? So I'm going to interrupt you now, and you can share that in the panel. I share the message of Peruvian pride, Colombian, Uruguayan, Peruvian pride. Everybody's here with us, so thank you. Thank you, Pedro. We'll be back with you in a second, in a few minutes. Now we're going to move on to our second story. Jimena Aleman. She's going to be with us in a few seconds. It's not the first time that Jimena is a guest at a Peruvian summit. She went to the FinTech conference last year, so we're very happy to hear from her and to know what's going on with Prometeo in the region and how it's working together with the Peruvian ecosystem. The floor is yours. Hi, Latin American Pride. Thank you very much for having me. I'm very happy to be part of the Peruvian event. For us, Peru is a great country with great opportunities, and it has also received in good spirit and generosity everything. Thank you very much. So while we put on your presentation, Jimena, I wanted to thank you also for your time. Okay, we're ready. We're ready. Thank you very much. I'm going to share with you my presentation. I am the co-founder and director of Prometeo for its name in Spanish. I'm going to start by telling you in a different way where we started. In Prometeo, we always say that the future of finance should be open and connected, and that we work in order for that to happen. What does this mean, and where is this born? Prometeo is the last final pivot. Eduardo Vega is the CPO. We have been working in Uruguay, and after this e-wallet, we pivoted. We created a VPN like Minto and Mintic in the United States and also in Brazil. And we pivoted again, and now we have Prometeo. In Prometeo, we said what we believed in, and this became our motto. What do we believe in? We believe in the power of technology. We believe that technology is dynamic. It's an agent of change. It can create new worlds. Technology can build the future and build development. Technology can also create. The last one, please. Technology, apart from creating the future, can also create new systems. We believe in technology as an agent of change. We believe in creating new systems. And apart from that, we believe in Latin America. We do not work from Uruguay. We work from the region. We believe in Latin America. In our project, it's very based on what Latin America is as a region. With these values, with these centers of creation, we decided to launch what Prometeo is today, and with the technology we had. Next slide. platform. Prometeo is the biggest platform for opening banking in LATAM. It allows to have banking information and do transactions in LATAM. It's very much related, this product, with the three things that I was mentioning before. Prometeo is an API gateway. It's an API middleware that allows a company to connect with different financial institutions at the same time. But it's also perceived as a pan-regional solution. We also were working on fintechs that needed to grow, companies that needed to impact Latin America, banks, and we built Prometeo in order to provide services to these types of companies. Companies that have multiple markets in the region, because we believe that Latin America is a region that needs operations. Right now, Prometeo, as I was telling you, is connected with more than 30 financial institutions in 9 countries. We work with Mexico, in all the countries I just said, and we are developing some new connections in Argentina and in Chile. Currently, we have APIs that are connection to information and also wire transfers, and we provide connections for banking accounts, as for corporate banking accounts. Basically, our use cases are 4. This is how we started Prometeo. We can see 4 simple cases of use where you can use our connections. The first use case is the connection for banking accounts. We allow these banking accounts to migrate their information from their banking clients to other banks in a simple way. Very much in the line of portability of information. This is understanding that information that resides in the bank is the user's information. It's not information of the bank. It's information of the user that is in the bank. So the user must have that information and he can share it with third parties. That is the core of open banking. So what we do is that we facilitate the migration of financial information of a user from one bank to another. Obviously, with this, we have other functionalities. For example, how to centralize information. This is a use case that comes from our experience in the past startup. Facilitate a single user to visualize all his or her information in a single front end. This we have very practical use cases, micro entrepreneurs or micro or small companies. SMEs actually use this functionality very well when they have several bank accounts. And sometimes they have a single use of those funds. So centralizing that information is very important for their daily business. Ignition 3, which is the third case use, the connection with corporate clients, providing a financial institution for their corporate clients to connect through APIs and automate everything that has to do with integration with ERP and automate conciliation operations and closing operations. And finally, something that we used to offer as part of the added value of Prometeo is the integration with fintechs. When financial institutions try to develop programs of digital transformation, part of what happens is that the integration times are very long, because sometimes the financial institution, the traditional one, has a core that is not perceived or is not ready for integrations, has no APIs. It's not easy for them to have that information in the core. And fintechs have a tech core that is very different, much softer, with new types of capabilities. And due to this disparity, we have problems with operation, with coordination. What Prometeo does is that we serve as middleware in order to facilitate these two solutions. And we integrate these two. That's basically our value proposition up to March for financial institutions. Next slide. We have a very strong core in cybersecurity. Everybody understands here what's happening. The risks of cybersecurity are very big, and they're fundamental for any type of tech company, especially in financial services. As we know, cybersecurity is very big. It's something that worries financial institutions, and it's something that we are currently seeing and that they have in mind. So that is why Prometheus also takes this into account and actually tries to anticipate this. Our platform is perceived from the scratch to do compliance with the different regulators and norms, with all types of regulators. And we are specialized in cybersecurity for the financial sector. All types of certifications. So from the start, we want to do compliance, and we are compliant to all types of international quality standards. This has allowed us to grow in the financial sector at ease and steadily, and actually have good conversations and strong conversations with big banking institutions, with all our compliance, regulation, and with a lot of deep knowledge in terms of security, because that is our background. In the last years, we have achieved a big portfolio. They have trusted Prometeo. We work with Santander Bank, with all the companies you can see here, with Rappi in Mexico. As you can see here, all these clients have received us very well. They have opened their doors. They have been very generous. Global Bridge Connections, it's also legal. So for us, Peru is a great market, where we work actively in Prometeo as a banking solution, as an innovative solution. In the last years, we have reached to 15 clients with a monthly charge. At a connection level, we have 60% of coverage in LATAM, which for us is a great milestone. One of our goals for next year is to be connected with the banks that represent 80% of the market share in Latin America. And 60% of that work is already done. It's a very ambitious goal, but as I was telling you before, we believe that it's vital and it's strategic to be able to connect the region as a whole through APIs. And this year we launched Brazil, which is something that we're very proud of, because it's a market that's very attractive and that has also brought great things and steps in terms of auto banking and the promotion of open banking with the regulations that they have launched. So we're very happy to be there and to be able to offer Prometeo in Brazil. Since last year, we grew 500% in our terms of revenue, year-to-year revenue, which we think is a great result. Next slide, please. And how are we facing COVID-19? Obviously, like for all startups, COVID-19 was a huge challenge. It was a situation in which Luis was also mentioning that in Pedro, of a lot of uncertainty and a lot of challenges for any company. For us, this meant going back to what we believe in. Mhm. In Latin America, we believe in creating innovation, hacking systems. That's what it means for us. Believing that there are new systems that can be built based on existing systems. And finally, believing in the community we are at. So, with that said, with that core beliefs, we decided to face the COVID. Next slide. We believe in the power of technology. Right now, in such an uncertain time, especially when we launched in March here in Latin America, a lot of companies were migrating to virtual work, having a lot of problems in terms of infrastructure, with a lot of uncertainty, changes in their operations. So what we decided to do was, how can we help? And what we did is to offer diagnosis analysis free for the companies that contacted us. We offered it to our clients. We offered it via social networks. We had a lot of feedback. A lot of companies came to us telling us that they wanted our help to have small vulnerability analysis. Those were the capabilities that we had in our team, and these were the capabilities that we decided to take to the community in order to try to together actually get out of the situation as strong as ever. And I think that this was without a doubt something that we were able to do in the company, and that Rodrigo, our CEO, was able to do. Great results, and we had a great response from the market. A lot of companies, we did that more than 10 cybersecurity analyses per month. So we thought that this was a good day to reach our clients with our capabilities and to help. I don't want to interrupt you yet. Yeah, let's close and we'll go to the panel, please. Okay? Perfect. I'll leave the slides for the panel. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Very interesting conversation, very interesting presentation, excuse me. It's very interesting to see this strengthening of the relationship between the countries, not only Peru and Uruguay, but also Brazil, Argentina, Colombia. I think that the opportunity is huge. So thank you very much for the presentation. Well, we prepare Cristobal's presentation. Cristobal will... Cristobal, how are you? Thank you for the invitation. We're going to start with the video? Wonderful. Okay, so let's project the video. I'm going to the backstage. Let's prepare the video. I am from Chile. We are here in Chile. We have some prospects in Peru. We have worked in the past with Peru. We have included in our presentation. But thank you for the invitation. We have a great connection with venture capital in Latin America. So we're very happy to be here. We want to tell you what we're doing. First of all, we want to express our solidarity with the people that are not doing well in the pandemic, but in the world of business, I think that this has been a breakthrough. These links, these relations among countries are as solid as ever. So I'm very happy to have you here today. It's very nice that you mentioned the fact that you're going to start here in Peru, because I'm very happy. We have the video already, so it's going to show. The world changed. The world changed. In Burn to Give, we help solve these three problems: purpose, protection. Okay, we lost the video and there's no sound. I'm so sorry. We have no audio. Something happened with the video. Yeah, I'm working in 3 computers. I am by myself in the office, but I have 3 open computers right now. We can start with the presentation and leave the video for the end. Thank you very much. We're ready to improvise. Yeah, this is resilience. Okay. You already presented this. Thank you for your presentation. I am Cristobal de la Mayora. I am the co-founder of Burn to Give. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, how the pandemic has affected us, and what we're doing nowadays. So first of all, I'm going to start with a summary of what Burn to Give is and what has brought us here in these 2 years. We founded Burn to Give in 2018 with a very specific model: turning burned calories doing sports into calories for kids that need food. It's a social startup, and it's something that we will always keep. We technified physical activity with a product, with Garmin, with Strava, with Fitbit, and every time you did sports, it gave the calorie count with the marketing game that we did with the companies in order to give food to kids that were underserved. This became viral, and we had a series of milestones and events in the last 2 years. We went to the Pan American Games in Lima for burning calories. We had great success there. We worked with the Marathon of Santiago. We worked with Lollapalooza. And basically, these were milestones that validated our model and that helped us grow. One of the big milestones last year is that me and my co-founder, my brother, we were named Endeavor Entrepreneurs due to the impact and traction. Finally, we validated our model. That was B2C, and we moved on to B2B. We motivate people within the companies to exercise and to be healthy, but with a social scope. We had great results here. We did specific challenges with companies, and it was donated to benefit cause. We donated participation, and which validated our product, that B2B was the place where we could have more traction and where we are totally focused. Finally, we were able to have a world-class team with the best professionals like JP Morgan, Procter & Gamble, a couple of NYU doctors. And currently we have 40 people in our team working in 4 countries. So without any further ado, I'm going to tell you what Burn to Give is and when we created it. We know that society is having a wellness crisis. 1 out of 3 people have obesity. These numbers are growing. Physical inactivity is one of the main problems in today's world. There is a metric that says that being in your desk, working, sitting down, is even worse than smoking. And finally, we know that people are feeling lonely. That's another big problem. People are feeling lonely, and something that we have to work on with millennials. At the same time, this is a problem for companies. 8 out of 10 workers have stress at work. This means productivity problems, work problems. between 75 and 90% of medical expenses happen due to your lifestyle. These are decisions that are highly preventable and avoidable. We think that we can change that. And in average, only 13% of company members are committed with their work. Usually we talked about different concepts, but now we're talking about presence. And presence talks about the fact of how many of these people that are really committed to their work. And any of these people are motivated. So there's a great work to be done and augment or increase productivity of the companies. Something that has to do with coronavirus and how the world is that we have seen that we have had to adapt. And COVID was a huge problem. They showed us the new reality of work, how things can change, and how we can change and we can adapt to new realities. Millennials are going to be present in the world as a whole. 75% of the workforce will be comprised by millennials in 2025. In 2025, more than the name, these people have different concepts of life. Millennials prefer to have purpose above salary. They need the companies to be connected to a social cause. So we have to keep this in mind. Social responsibility. We see how countries is actually demanding for governments to be more fair, for companies to be more fair. And what we have seen are the latest generation benefit for the future of work, social impact, financial inclusion, and wellness through a platform in which the core is the purpose, and it's envisioned with the new realities of work. How does this work? We have four main pillars, which is our philosophy. We are a social purpose company. If I am okay, everyone will be okay. We protect and we provide financial protection, empowering you to act because I am well if I have control of my life. And finally, wellness, well-being. I feel well if I work on my well-being, not only physical, but mental, financial, community, partners. How do we do this? We do this through social responsibility by motivating people to give the best of themselves in order to have a positive impact, through corporate benefits without whoever they might be. We empower the results and we give insights and results so you as a human being can improve and your company becomes a better place. And a set of tools to give you the best version of yourself. This is a real case. This is where we were born. Here you can see Felipe. He is the worker of one of the companies that we work with. Felipe, we touched his heart. We touched his heart so much that he changed his eating habits, his exercising, and he burned more than 70,000 calories through Burn to Give. Due to the fact that we give 1 calorie of food for every calorie burned, these 75,000 calories transformed in 150 meals that we gave Joshua on the right in one of our Haiti projects, and it saved his life. This is a clear token of what we do. Purpose. We think that insurance, for example, that have always been related to death, have to change, and we have to adopt them and see them as life, as good habits. We have a life insurance that actually gives you more money according to every step you take. The healthier you are, the bigger that the payment you will have if something happens to you. So in the future, for example, we have a new product. When you read a book, we're going to also give you points. We are changing the rules of insurance. This is an instant new generation insurance, life insurance, no questions asked. It's not a problem if you're 50, 20, or 15. It's dynamic. It grows with your good habits. And it's 100% digital. We have no calls, no paperwork. This is our platform. Our service is a WAS. It's a well-being as a service. That's how we call it, WAS. You pay for a monthly subscription that gives you access to all the wellness services, meditation, digital fitness, everything, telemedicine, classes, exercise, everything. And obviously that every good thing you do, with everything good thing you do, we benefit someone that needs it with every one of your actions. That is Burn to Give. I'm going to give you a quick example. This was one person that was using Burn to Give for 1 year. Her name is Paloma, for example. After 1 year with Burn to Give, she exercised and she donated 100 meals and 30 trees. At the same time, when she had symptoms of COVID-19, she had a treatment with our package. And also, and thanks to our Wellness Academy, she knows the difference between healthy fats and non-healthy fats. She was able to have a 56 to 75 wellness average, and she's part of the top performing 5% of good habits. She was part of the challenges. She gained 4,000 pounds, and she got rewards for her well-being. And also, she increased her steps, and she went from walking 5,000 steps a day to 10,000 steps a day. That's fantastic. She also became aware of the fact that meditating was good for her, and she meditates daily. And thanks to that, she lost 4 kilograms. So this is the effect that a good platform can have on your life. We feel that this is the right scope, the right approach in the right moment. It can be with you anywhere. It's personal, custom made, only for you, and it works with a simple data analysis. And it's instant and simple. I want to tell you all about our story and our future. At the beginning, we had the InsurTech model, and this year we went into deep. We are seeing how purpose and behavioral economics motivate people to change. At the same time, we're going to work in artificial intelligence and machine learning in order to boost our actions. We have very powerful alliances with the Math Institute of Chile in order to grow. At the same time, we're after expansion. Chile has always been our lab, but with the traction that we have and with the investment pool, we are starting a global expansion process. And finally, we closed our Series A 2 months ago, which was a record venture funding for a Chilean startup. And something very important was that we did this not in a normal fashion, but also it's part of our DNA. We are a public benefit corporation. That is how we are incorporated. Purpose is not the beacon, but purpose is within our legal statutes. Why? Because we want to inspire healthier communities by creating a world of change. Live well, create impact. The video is a summary of what I showed you, so I would love to show my video. Let's show the video. Cristobal, I think it's very important what you said in terms of impacts. I have a mentor here in Peru that says that everything that happens in the region has an impact. And obviously, he's right. But without a doubt, the companies that are aimed at generating a social impact, an economic impact, I think that it's very important to visibilize them as agents of change in the region. We're going to go to the backstage for the video. Great video. I'm very glad it worked. I was applauding, so thank you very much. Now we're going to move to the panel. I just want to introduce Luis Jose Jober. Luis Jose is an old friend of the ecosystem. Jose, if you can turn on your camera, please. Luis Jose is the business connector and partner of Consultora Lombardia, a consulting company specialized in fintech. And in this time, in cases like the one of Jimena and Prometeo, companies that want to come into Peru, or they're leaving Peru to other markets in the region. Luis Jose, I don't know if you can hear us. I can hear you well. Can you hear me? Thank you very much. I am Luis Jose Joey. I am a partner of Consultora Lombardia. I am a boutique company specialized in promoting business and investment for fintech and insurtechs, not only in Peru, but also from abroad. I would like to say that I am very happy of moderating this panel. Yesterday we had a previous coordination, and I was commenting on we lost his signal. We lost the moderator. We're experiencing problems with Luis Jose's connection. Let's see if Luis Jose fixes his connection. I'm going to be the role of the moderator. Okay, I wanted to talk about what you were saying before, the topic of impact. How important is impact, or how important in this context where we have had the coronavirus? We have opportunities, of course, but at the same time, it has not, I suppose it's not easy to migrate, to do remote work, to see how to tackle these opportunities, concentrate in important things. So I wanted to ask you, how is that vision that you have as a founder? And how were you able to do this? Can you hear me now? I was just asking a question, and you can answer, and Luis Jose can take the panel. Should I start? Sure. I think that the topic of impact, although we have business models for impact, companies like Cristóbal's that have a high impact model from Latin America, most of startups at least have impact in their minds. When we talk about Latin America, it's a land filled with opportunities. Opportunities happen also because we have endemic problems, core problems. There are a lot of problems that we can tackle and improve in Latin America. Cristobal was talking about obesity, for example, obesity, excuse me. For us, impact is in the financial industry. We know the problems of financial inclusions that we have. Uh, Low access to financial services, very bad banking services, people that have a banking account, but they take out all their money and they keep on using cash, SMEs, very low access to credit, to loans. So on our side, what we believe is that although we know that it's impossible, for example, to think about Montevideo without a port, for us, it's impossible to think about Lima without an airport, or Mexico without roads. For us, it's impossible to think about a financial system in the future without the proper tech infrastructure. The proper infrastructure for tech are APIs, period. And that is what we are creating, the big road, the big pathway that aims to connect all financial institutions, which will bring access. Because talking about infrastructure is talking about access. And that is what we're doing, yeah, enabling new products. That is our impact. It's not a impact business model, but it will impact the life quality of Latin America in the future. Without a doubt, I wanted to say that it's a very important point. Due to the conditions of Latin America, it's the thought of the entrepreneur in Latin America. It comes with an impact. And financial is a very important impact. You can say finance has no impact. It has a lot of impact, especially in Latin America. It can be much bigger to the one in other countries. So I agree with your comment. Pedro, did you want to say something? Yeah, basically what Cristobal was saying. Financial work in such a difficult place like South America is are roads that many companies need. That is what we have to rescue, if I may say. When entrepreneurs actually work on their visions, on their business models, we must keep that into account. How are we going to connect with all the financial system, which at the end of the day is what will bring investment, which is what will allow us to grow. So it's very important to have that very well structured. As you were saying, sorry that we had to cut you. What was that step by step that you were talking about in terms of how robotic systems is reinventing themselves in this pandemic? 5 steps. Main one, it has to do with financials and the measures I spoke about. Secondly, it has to do with what we have done in terms of migrating our roles due to the lockdown, due to the pandemics. We cannot, for example, provide training. We cannot bring people to a room and have courses and training. Trading, delivery of our drones is also tough because the mines are closed right now. There's no access to the mines. Everyone is protected. Not maybe overprotecting, but we feel that these are extreme protection measures, but that's what we have. You cannot seize multi-million operations due to coronavirus, but unfortunately, that's what they're doing. And in that sense, we have taken services thanks to our expertise, and we have been able to solve the needs of our clients. We are working remotely, but not digitally, but physically. So drones can go into the properties in a remote way and do the works for inspection, topography, thermography, and the like. Everything that has to be done. And then we leave the area by air in order to you analyze it and send it digitally. So, in a sense, we have maximized effectiveness of this because we have no contact. What's unexpected? The risk was sometimes topography and not being in touch with people. So, actually our equipment have worked very well because there's no human contact. Excellent, Pedro. Can you hear me? We'll go to the backstage. I wanted to ask you, Cristobal, because there's an important topic behind, which is all the startups have a period of cash flow, but now with pandemics, that might be complicated, and some of the startups have raised capital during the pandemic. I know that Jimena has also something to comment on that front, but I wanted to start with you, Cristobal, to tell us how that process worked and any insight of raising capital. Yes, very good question, very interesting. I'm going to try to summarize it in 2 minutes. We started our Series A process before the pandemics. But when the boom came, we were in the middle of our roadshow, Peru, Brazil, Mexico, and the US. And we had commitments. But the dynamics of the VCs in that time, this is what happened. And this is what would happen in any type of industry. Immediate contraction reaction, which scared a lot of people in the market. And we thought that the world was going to be stagnant. But life goes on. And even if pandemics come, it's a time of opportunity. It's a cliche, but it's true. The best ideas come from those types of moments. If we go back in 2008, when we had the big financial crisis, the big startups like Uber and Airbnb became successful. Before that, renting a space in your car or renting a part of your house was just ridiculous, unheard of. And now we're talking about something that is really has impregnated society. And the VCs, in my opinion, found an opportunity. And they started to invest in the businesses of the future, businesses that could be part of the wave of change. And as I told you, the contraction became a great rebound, and it actually helped us to close our Series A successfully. So my message is a message of optimism. You can find capital. Some doors are being opened. A lot of investors want to invest, and a lot of entrepreneurs want to receive investment. Very good, Cristobal. Thank you. Opportunity and transformation. Those are the words. Those are the keywords of your answer in this type of situation. Hime, if you want to comment something in terms of financing or funding, how are you seeing digital transformation in the financial sector? In terms of what Cristobal was saying, raising capital, same thing happened to us. We cannot share news yet, but we saw the same dynamics. The first days in LinkedIn, there was a letter from Sequoia talking about the freeze of venture capital and how investment was going to freeze. And for a lot of people, especially in Latin America, where raising money is still an issue, it's a stressful moment for any startup in Latin America because it brings a specific set of skills, as you know, in this part of the world, finding the right investor, and it's a tough moment. And we must concentrate in the operation of the startup, and that is why it becomes so challenging. I believe that that was worrisome to all of us, but at the end of the day, the dynamic didn't change. Funds remained active. They kept on looking for opportunities, and it became a moment to make the most out of everything. And as Cristobal mentioned, it was a very good moment. At a level, we worked and we were trying to generate processes of innovation. We were trying to generate moments of innovation in the financial institutions. At the beginning, all the projects froze. A lot of clients were calling us, calling us to freeze. A lot of projects that were like onboarding, for example. We were analyzing the situation, and after April, at the end of April, the conversation started shifting again. Financial institutions were fully aware of the fact that they had to keep on having their digital transformation processes, that the remote migration and everything was not going back. Everything that was done in digital payments, digital transformation, wire transfers are changes that are not going to go back. It's a one-way street, and the financial sector is 100% aware of the fact that that's going to happen. All innovation processes that were frozen or stagnant for years, right now, they became they were executed, and they will keep on being executed due to the coronavirus. So I truly believe that it was a moment to find opportunities and make the most of them. You were talking about an article a couple of months ago in a local newspaper in terms of open banking and how the new trends in times like the ones we're having, where we need to find new ways. Okay, we're losing connection with Mr. Luis Jose. I would like to apologize. I'm having some technical difficulties. Thank you, Luis, for taking my spot. Yes, in yesterday's conversation, we were talking with Pedro. Okay, we lost connection again with Mr. Luis Jose. Something's happening with my computer. Okay, with my connection. Okay, you were talking to us about this new situation. We have all read about the complexity. Okay, we lost the moderator again. Okay, as North Americans would say, let's cut to the chase. And I think that Luis Jose's question refers to resilience and strategies to cater or to tackle what you have seen or the challenges that you have had from COVID-19. Pedro, you're in an industry. Pedro, you work in mining, for example, mining clients. How has that been for you? All the restrictions, knowing that Peru was one of the countries that had the first and the most strict restrictive or lockdown measures. How did you adapt? I'm going to share what I had prepared. I think you can see my presentation there. We're seeing your presentation. That's it. We had to operate as fast as possible. You can only go out if you work with the government, basically. And we were able to put our knowledge at the service of the Air Force to monitor the city with our drones. So we were able to move everywhere. It allowed us to go out, to work, to test our hardware, and it became a testing lab because we can start seeing how operations, how security were happening in the city, and we identified the hotspots. These are areas that later on became very important, and we transmitted this live, and they were able to find the people that were out in the street where we had big places of concentration of people. So we were doing surveillance for the government. The third stage was to have alliances. We make the most of working with our strategic partners in order to come together and develop material and procedures. So once normality came back, we were able to have a good material. With ARCGIS, we were able to have high resolution camera surveillance. These are our deliverables. These are new things or new hardware for the market that the mining companies will use in the near future. Our focus on services as a fundamental role, which were fundamental in our income, because direct sales and training and everything was paralyzed. Then investment. This allowed us to give us some cash flow to invest on our sensors and to actually work and expand to new markets. And secondly, with services of specialized sensors, we have synergy, because when we use new sensors, we also do the programming of the new sensors in order for them to work with our systems. So we also develop the software and image capabilities that will be part in the next generation. And the conclusion in terms of resilience is that what seems to be a terrible scenario, we were able to accommodate and do everything that's possible. So these limitations actually helped us. And we have launched new products during the lockdown. We have been able to be much more efficient in what we did. We fly higher, we fly longer, and we have a better possibility. We are in our GEOX 8 generation. We are already publishing and updating our web with the new characteristics. So at the end of the day, we have been able to make the most out of the pandemics, to be honest. Very interesting, Pedro. I want to ask a general question to the three of you. In this context, what was the best advice that you received? Maybe a mentor, maybe an investor that told you, listen, that gave you just the perfect advice for this situation? What was the internal motivation that allows you to, that help you to actually go through this new normal? Okay. It has to do with my previous answer. Being in the lookout for opportunities. We have had great mentors from the beginning, looking for opportunities. For me, that's the best advice. Being on the lookout for opportunities is key. Crises can bring new opportunities if you have an open eye. And at the same time, not only be on the lookout, but be prepared. Sometimes we are not prepared as other companies, international companies. So being prepared for when good things happen and for when bad things happen, that's fundamental. The fact that a crisis comes when we are badly prepared, or even a good opportunity comes and we are not well prepared, both scenarios can lead to failure. You see that? So be prepared. Be prepared, be prepared. That's the most important advice. Some in good scenarios and in bad scenarios. Have your house in order, have your strategy in order, have everything you want to need in your company in order, be very well organized. What Cristobal is saying is Totally true. When you asked the question, I was thinking, and to be honest, I don't remember specific words from a mentor or specific advice, but I do think that's something that helped us a lot when actually gave us or helped us to go through the lockdown, especially the first weeks, was the commitment from our team. I think that these were times where we could really see where we were at. Somebody had their mic on. Okay. It was a moment of a lot of commitment with the team, seeing what everyone was doing, what they needed, how the situation was hurting us. And due to the fact that we are a very young startup, we were used to remote work already. So I think that it made it a little bit easier on us. The challenge was not technological or operational. The challenge for us was actually, the mood. What emotional tools do you have as an entrepreneur in order to go through the difficult moments that we were going to have? So for us, that was something very interesting, or something that sometimes it's important to analyze. As an entrepreneur, it's not only about your cash flow, it's not only about your skills, it's not only about your team. Sometimes you need emotional tools to help you navigate turbulent waters, and emotional tools that actually allow you to boost a team, to support a team, which at the end of the day brings good results for the startup. I have a lot of messages. I have a lot of insight. Our mini crisis here too actually makes us have the best mood, and something that we don't talk about is the emotional factor. If we double down, we can have an emotional panel about emotions. I wanted to leave you this last 10 minutes. I wanted to ask you if you have any final message that you would like to share with entrepreneurs, or any additional message that you would like to close this panel with. Cristobal was mentioning news about Peru. You're entering Brazil and other markets. Pedro as well. Do you have any news on what you foresee in the next few months, the future of robotic air systems? Just an open question for you guys to tell us a little bit about what the future will bring, or any additional message for entrepreneurs. In our case, this new line has been solved in order to be exportable or subject for exportation. Our first case was in Ecuador, our first client, and now we are working locally. And now the new line should be ready. It went through all the regulations of Latin America without any problem. So we are currently waiting to start to export our drones, our Peruvian drones, which according to regulations, that is what they are. So we're happy with that. We hope that in the next months, everything goes back in terms of trade between countries, airports open, and we are waiting. We're ready and waiting for our new steps. It's a little bit more complicated than doing everything online, but it's kind of fun. New experiences, new learnings. In other companies, which I am part of, exporting services are easy. Regulation is easy. Here, we have much bigger challenges. So it has been very insightful. We have learned a lot. Regarding what Jimena said, also, there's an emotional factor here too, right? I really like what you said. Nobody knew what coronavirus was bringing, and not everybody was ready to work at the same time. In our case, it meant to get together face to face. So I think that it has been important. In my role as the director of my company, I have tried to talk with everyone and try to actually read how they're feeling. it's not only robotic systems, but I also have other companies that I am part of. So I have had to speak with more than 30 people and listen to them. I think that's very important to listen to the people. You must dedicate time to people because we are people doing things. And I think that in your message, you have said that. It's very important to identify to what you're doing, to have well-being, to have open channels of communication, and to feel that you're part of something that has purpose, especially with the new young crowd and millennials, and not just do things because you have to do them. That motivation is very important. So the commitment from the CEOs with the people that work in our company is vital. Leading by example. Leading by example. We have to be resilient, of course, but the people that work with us need to be resilient, and we need to provide emotional support to everyone. So leading by example is very important. Okay, so I'm back. Cristobal or Jimena, if you can have your final comments. We definitely lost Mr. Jose Luis. Jimena, please start. Something that going back to the topic, to the issue of COVID, you were commenting that we went back to our roots and we went back to what we believe in. We believe in technology as an engine of change. And something that we did was try to provide new use cases of Prometeo for SMEs, but also for financial institutions that wanted to automate cash in and cash out processes, which was something that in the past was not important, but that during COVID-19 became very important. The automation of process, the automation of processes, that became very important in COVID. So we designed this use cases that allows companies to automate the cash in processes to their banking accounts, connect them with the systems that they use, and later on cash out, transfer of money to other banking accounts in an automated fashion. And I think that that was very well received by the market. My presentation ended with the results. Actually, sticking to your guns and sticking to your values was the most important things during the lockdown. We have grown 41% during the pandemic. So it's a great result and we're very happy. And I think that that happened due to the fact that we went back to our roots, we acted according to our values, and we acted according to our vision. As Burn to Give, we had a very strong globalization in more than 150 countries. The topic of insurtech that we're working on now brought new challenges. It's a highly regulated industry, obviously, but we have been able to navigate those waters well. We are open to the world. But there's an important point, and I think that it also happens with Pedro's and Jimena's startup, especially with Jimena's startup. The world of fintech and the world of insurtech are businesses that were ready to receive technological disruption. And I think that this is the perfect time. We're talking about gigantic global markets that haven't had technological disruption in the last 100 years. So what we're doing with Burn to Give, is not only challenging, but enriching. And we see the light at the end of the tunnel. Things will be positive, changes will happen, and lives will be impacted in a positive way. We're very happy because this will help our international expansion. Thank you very much. I wanted to mention two important messages. I think was the first question regarding the vision of the companies and how vision had helped you overcome and adapt to this new normality. And thank you for your comments. Thank you for commenting on the importance of the founder to be on the top of his or her game and how that is the fuel that helps us overcome the hurdles. The final thought of Cristobal regarding the light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully we will be near that light, not only at a professional level, but as a global society, and we can overcome this stage. And hopefully this turns out to be a story of growth, a story of resilience, and a story that we will look back upon and see as a positive thing. Thank you very much. That's what I wanted to share as a final insight. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time. I would also like to thank Luis Jose from Lombardia Consulting. Unfortunately, the tech problems that he had actually, if connection falls, if connection is interrupted, these things can happen, but Luis Jose has been fundamental for the coordination of the panel. So thank you, Luis Jose, even though you're not here. So basically, I would, hopefully I was, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Luis. Thank you for your invitation. Thank you, Luis Jose. We have been preparing this talk with Luis Jose for several days, so I'm very sorry that he was not here. But even if he's not here, thank you, Luis Jose, for helping this panel to happen. Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to be here at Pickup. Thank you for having us. Thank you to the both Luises, and I'm sure we will meet in the near future. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. We're reaching the final part of our morning session. I wanted to tell you that in the afternoon, we have the workshop called Preparing My Series A. We will have one of the best speakers that we will have, which is Andres Mitchell, the Regional Director of Indian Ventures. And at 5 p.m., we will have a 1-hour conversation with lawyers, because the legal standpoint should always be present, not only in terms of gathering information. And we're going to have it's not a panel or a presentation. It's going to be more a fireside chat with many of the main firms that work with startups, with venture capital, with raising capital. That is at 5 p.m. The two presentations will be through the platform Rebus. For the 2 p.m. Workshop, what do we have for this last part? We have Alex Torrenegra. He will connect in any minute. Please remember that in the afternoon, we will be meeting at 5 p.m. back here in the Rebus platform. And at 2 p.m., we will have our seminar, workshop in our own platform that you will receive in your inbox. We have talked about remote work. Many of us are not in the same cities. We have talked about remote work, about virtual work. Everyone is connected remotely. And one of the topics that has clearly accelerated and will keep on being accelerated is the future of work. So me, just as Alex Torrenegra and Torre, his startup, his company, we know that remote work is here to stay. Some companies have already done this. But now we have seen news during the pandemics. Now Twitter is going to work remotely, and most possibly many companies will do it too. Okay, without any further ado, Alex, thank you very much for being here. Can you hear me, Alex? I can hear you perfectly. I'm going to give Alex the floor so Alex can tell us about what they're doing in Torre. What is the vision of Torre in terms of the future of work? And we're going to see questions at the end. And I'll ask you a couple of questions, Alex. So thank you very much for being here. Marv, wonderful. Thank you very much for your invitation, Luis. Thank you, team. Thanks to all the team of Pickups. It's an honor to be here. I am seeing the public chat, so to break the ice a little bit and try not to bore you, if you can answer the following question. A question to begin. If you're entrepreneurs, if you're investors, if you are students, etc., please tell me who you are. Please quickly write, what is your profession? What do you do? Please share that immediately. If you're a student, if you're an investor, if you're an entrepreneur. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing in Torre. It's very connected to my life, to my professional life. It's the continuation of what I have done previously. I'm going to start telling you a little bit about what in life has led me to do what I'm currently doing. I was born in Colombia, as you can see. I have been working in the States for 20 years, and though most of my professional career has happened here in the States, I became an entrepreneur in Colombia. And I was an entrepreneur at the beginning, not as a passion, but out of a need. Why out of a need? Because I lived with my mother and with my grandmother in the outskirts of Bogota. We didn't have money for a car, so we didn't have money for a computer. And I was obsessed with having a computer. And due to that, I said, when I was 14, I said to myself, maybe I can ask for a loan in a bank in order to buy a computer, and I can pay for that loan by using my computer. It worked. When I was 18, I had 20 people in the company doing the following services. They were doing data entry. And internet came to Colombia, and I started surfing the internet, 30 cents a minute, a lot of money. I didn't care. I dropped out of college to work fully in internet. Instead of paying for my college education, I paid for internet services. I became obsessed with coming to the States. I was part of a group of people that was creating internet. I was part of that wave. And I came to the States. Very difficult for that time for a Colombian to come to the US. I went through all the alphabet of visas, B1, B2, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and finally I was able to stay here. And I created the first of the 3 companies that I have created related to the future of work. The first company is this one, Voice123. That was my first startup. That was the biggest and still is the biggest platform to find professional voices. The voices you listen to, movies, apps, games, voices for training platforms like Alexa, for example, and Siri. This is a company that we did bootstrapping with my wife, Tanya, and we took it to millions of dollars in projects. It's still growing. And one of the main reasons why this platform became successful was the fact that the industry went from being based physically, it was based in LA, Chicago, and New York, and it became a remote industry. And in order to do that, we had to do something else, which is very important for the success of the platform, that many people believed it was impossible. We automated the work of the casting directors. This platform is growing, and during the pandemics, it has broken all expectations and records that we never thought it would have. So 17, 18 years of growth of such a platform. Later on in 2011, I moved to San Francisco, and I created a new platform called Bunny Studio. What Bunny Studio does is that it has thousands of enterprise clients that delegate the creation of creative pieces
that for this company's our critical mission to Bunny Studio. Thousands of projects per day. And Bunny Studio uses machine learning in order to assemble in real time remote creative workers, which together successfully bring this project to life. It's a company that is growing even faster than Voice 123, and it has been profitable since its early stage. The combination of the financial success of these two companies is what brought me to becoming an investor. I am a venture capital. I have invested in more than 3 dozens of companies. I became part of Shark in the Colombian version of Shark Tank, which is one of the ways in which people that know me in Latin America see me and they know who I am due to Shark Tank. Being an investor and being active in the ecosystem here in the United States brought me to a situation of pushing migration reform, and specifically what has to do with the freedom of work, getting visas, and for the people to find work without being concerned about geographical borders. Unfortunately, we were not successful in this topic, even though we had a big lobby. The United States keeps on having very strong restrictions on borders in terms of migration for work. But this was one of the things that brought me to think about how can I have a significant impact around the world so people can find job around the world. And this is where I found different trends that merge in one opportunity. The first one is remote work. This is a pre-pandemic work that shows the popularity of remote work versus other types of jobs. These are Google searches. Remote work is here to stay, and it's growing massively. Another big trend is flexible work. Only in the US, more than half of the population will be part of what they call the liquid workforce, the flexible workforce, before the end of the decade. In emerging countries, the ratio is going to be even bigger. In fact, the pandemic is stepping on it. And the way in which traditionally companies recruit is not good, and it's not scalable, especially for flexible work. And finally, another important trend is that LinkedIn is very big, but actually LinkedIn is small. Look, this graph shows you the number of human beings which are at a working age. The blue circle are the users on Facebook. The lighter blue are the people that are on LinkedIn. So as you can see, if you compare this circle with this circle, the small size of LinkedIn compared to the market it should be catering to. There's more 2,000 million people that already use internet, that use Google, YouTube, Facebook, WhatsApp, that are not part of a professional network to find work. They are not part of that network. I am sure that most of the people that are present in this meeting have LinkedIn, but I am sure that most of the people that you meet on your daily lives, on the street, in a restaurant, even if many of your companies are not on LinkedIn, and it's not worth for them to be in LinkedIn. All this combined made me create Torre.com. Torre.com is the new professional platform that coexists together with LinkedIn, just as Twitter, Instagram, just as TikTok and Instagram coexist with Facebook. Our objectives is much more ambitious. We want to be the site where everyone is at and where all the working opportunities are at. That is our goal. We started with one of the popular questions, those first principle questions, and it was, if we could reinvent ourselves from zero, the way in which companies find talent, the way in which people find work, how would we do it? And what did we find? A lot of things. We found that it could be much better than it is nowadays. Merit, it can be based on a lot of more things that is not based on. It could be less expensive. It can have new business models. You can find the perfect candidate, and you can find exponentially lower asymmetric levels. What do I mean by asymmetric? Internet has given us a low asymmetric information in many things. For example, you want to learn of an topic, you go to a search engine, and after a couple of seconds, you know which is the best book to learn about this. Or you want to take a flight from Lima to any other part of the world. For example, you want to come to San Francisco. In a few seconds, you will find the best flight based on your flight preferences, the money you want to spend, availability of time, the seat that you want, the type of food that you want to eat, the type of comfort, the points that you will get from your status in seconds. Nevertheless, if I ask you the following, how much time will you take to answer? I'm going to ask you the following. Are you going to hire a developer? Are you going to hire a tutor? Are you going to hire a tutor to teach piano to your child? Are you going to hire a coder for your company? How much time will it take to find the best person in the world to do that? That is impossible. That is the asymmetry. It's impossible to find the answer. And unfortunately, even though we are just limited to a small circle of people to choose, even it takes a couple of days or weeks to find the best candidates. That is a huge asymmetry. And that takes us to the following situation. Most of human being talent is going to waste because talent is never exposed to the best possible opportunities. That is our objective, taking that asymmetry to zero. Who's the best coder? I need the best piano teacher for my son. I need an executive assistant. We want to do that in seconds to bring you the best candidates according to the conditions that you need. So first of all, we created the professional genome. The professional genome is a collection of many points of information that includes all information that you have in a resume, experience, education, but we also included other type of information, which is much more difficult to capture. Soft skills, hard skills, skills that the person wants to develop, skills that the person does not want to develop, sectors, industries, verticals of interest, verifications, recommendations, personality traits that the person has, professional culture, social networks, contact networks, type of cell phone that the person uses, geographical location, everything. None of these factors in isolation can predict if a person is going to be good for a specific job. But if you combine this pool of information, can allow us to predict if that person has a good fit for that spot, and also if that spot has a good fit for the person. We are working on algorithms to know if that person is good for a team and if a team is good for that person. We are even working on those algorithms. That is what we did in 2018, 2019. And apart from our project is very ambitious, but we needed to search to find a market, a small market to test our hypothesis. And we decided for strategic reasons to go after remote work. And in remote work, we created the most comprehensive collection of employment for full-time software developers in English. These are the most attractive jobs for a lot of people, and this allowed us to solve the problems that any platform has, connecting supply and demand. And this allowed us to bring people to our database, and nowadays we have almost 600,000 users. We have the biggest database, not only of software developers interested in working remotely in the Americas, but also people in marketing, client service, sales, financing, etc. This is what we're doing. We are expanding to other areas, which are internships. We are also expanding to freelancing and consulting. We are starting to do experiments with networking, using that professional genome, as we call it, for people to identify the potential people that they would like to work with, do business with, etc., etc. Now, this is just the beginning. Our objective in the long run is to have local works. And that is why we are having a pilot of Torre that allows any company to handle their candidate pipeline, all of them, through our platform. And in that way, make the hiring experience automatic. Because for the companies, we help them to discover the best possible talent for their spots without having to analyze 1,000 resumes. And for candidates, we help them to systematically identify which are the best possible employees according to their fit. Why? Because we are opening the candidates the black box that is applied to, which is being a candidate for a company. We show them how they rank. We show them how they rank compared to other candidates. We show them what they're competitive on. We show them their weaknesses. We show them their strengths. We show them their flaws, and we help them improve. That is Torre. We just closed our seed round. It's our seed round is big one. $5 million was our seed round. We are expanding our seed round to $7 million now. And fortunately, it was not hard to close this seed round because the investors understand that this is a huge opportunity nowadays. Some people ask me, why do you do this? And I tell them, because I want to help the people to find gratifying work. And why is that? Because nowadays, here in Silicon Valley and around the world, there's thousands of companies that are creating technology, algorithms, software that in many aspects make work better. I have created some of those algorithms. As I told you, casting directors, voice 1, 2, 3, now human talent, and a lot of professions are being replaced. And we have two options. We can complain or we can do something about it. And what we decided to do in Torre is to use technology not only to replace the work of people, but to allow people to find satisfying and better work, better employment that actually is fulfilling and is gratifying for people. The market, unfortunately, has proved that people want this. These are our figures, one of our growing metrics, the visits to this genome visits. We have more than 30 investors in 30 different cities around the world. Our team is 100% remote. We have 27 people in the team distributed in more than 15 cities around the world. And as you can see, as someone was saying, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And with our investors and with my team, we are creating the future. And that is my invitation to finish my talk is I hope you are part of the creation of the future and that you help us, you help Latin America to become a leader in that area. That's it for me now, Luis. If you want to see this, you can visit our websites. Those are our contact information. If you want to pilot the platform or if you're interested in Torre, please. Alex, this is pretty impressive. The vision that you have, the steps that you have taken as an entrepreneur, as an investor, and I would even say as a visionary in technology, in Latin American technology is incredible. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions that I took from your presentation and from the comments, but I wanted to say something. This is the 5th edition of Peru Venture Capital Conference. It's the first time it's virtual. And if we compare the presenters of edition 1 and 2 with today's keynote speakers, without a doubt, the presence of Latin America has expanded big time nowadays. In the past, we used to have only people from the US examples. Obviously, we were trying to inspire Latin America in that times. But nowadays, we have cases like yours or like the startups we have seen yesterday and today that can, without a doubt, inspire even more local entrepreneurs that are watching us. So thank you very much, Alex, for your insight. It was a very inspiring talk. I was a little bit confused when you started presenting because the way in which you have done it is just amazing. Uh, we have been talking today about how entrepreneurs are adapting to this new normal, but there is a common line that we haven't talked about, and it's how entrepreneurs can keep focus. For example, I identify an opportunity, I see potential, but how do I keep my disciplined focus in order to tackle exactly that? And you, as an entrepreneur, as an investor, I am sure that Shark Tank Colombia is still happening. So, all those types of things that you do can actually bring a lot of challenges, specifically now that we're going to mix much of our personal life and business life. How do you keep that focus? How do you keep your discipline, Alex? It's a wide question. To be honest, I have no focus. It's very difficult to be focused. How can I? In fact, the attention deficit disorder, ADD, I have that. And there is a big correlation between the lack of focus and creativity. So I think that for an entrepreneur, it's important not to be focused, and that's okay. Where it's extremely to be what is extremely important is being persistent, not even disciplined. I'm going to be honest. I became disciplined with my time after I had my daughter, especially when she went to school. Now I had to organize my time. Children are the ones that bring discipline to your lives. But with my wife, what we have been in our life is persistent. Persistence is the word, Luis. Persistent in the things that we like. The best way to be persistent is to do what you like. Fortunately, most of the world, most of the people have experimented that. It's a moment in which you find the book that you love and you don't want to stop. Or whether for gamers, for example, we would love to be playing games until we finish the game, or building puzzles, or sharing time with your kids, cooking, whatever. All of us have things that we could be able to do 24/7 happily. That feeling is the one that you have to focus and to tackle in your startup. If you are chasing an objective that motivates you a lot, persisting becomes easy. In my agenda, 78 hours of work are scheduled per week, and I would work more. The thing is that I like to take breaks to be with my daughter. Every day I have lunch with my daughter. We dine together. We have 1 hour of activities with my daughter. So if it wasn't because of my daughter, I would work more because I work in what I like. And it's much easier to have a startup. You cannot have a startup. You can only have a startup when you visualize that your startup is a catalyzer for maximizing the impact that you want in life. The other thing I wanted to ask you is how can you be an entrepreneur with a global vision since day one? I have seen Torre information, and the ambition that you guys have is huge. You want to take on the world. But sometimes I feel that in the region, we have a lack sometimes of that mindset of becoming global. Can you comment on that, Alex? From a personal level, first of all, without a doubt, what I'm doing with Torre is very ambitious, yes. But in order to be global, you don't have to be the next LinkedIn. Voice 123 is a business that sells $3 million a year, for example. It's very profitable, fortunately, but it's a small business, okay? I mean, we have the same amount of sales of a luxury restaurant in Lima, yeah? So, but it's global, you see? And the fact that it's global has always allowed me to think big because I know that I can reach the world. The nice things about having a global vision is that due to the same amount of effort, you can have a higher return. If I had created Voice 123 in Spanish instead of English, I wouldn't be selling $3 million. I would be selling $30,000 a year, maybe $300,000 a year. We did it in English, so we sell $3 million a year. That's how it became global. So thinking global is not thinking big, it's being pragmatic. Secondly, English, without a doubt. I think in English, you need teams that handle English. Communications must be in English. Everything must be in English. And finally, this is the most important part, is to remove ourselves from the stigma that we have. And where does the stigma come from? Since we're little in Latin America, they tell us and they expose us to be consumers, not to be producers. They expose us to be consumers of outside things. What are the best movies in Latin America? Hollywood. What are the best cars? The US cars that comes from Germany or from Japan. Which is the clothes that we want? Levi's from San Francisco. Or the Tommy Hilfiger that comes from LA. What do we see? There are no local brands that we must feel successful or proud about. We criticize the local and we feel that what comes from the outside is the best. And we don't have leaders that shows us that things can be done globally. The biggest entrepreneurs and entrepreneur, unfortunately, nowadays it has changed, but for my generation, when I was a teenager, there were no entrepreneurs. There were no Latin American companies that had a global impact. So what does that teach you? It teaches you that you're a second-class citizen. Second-class citizen, that you cannot create something that is global, that the best that you can do is to create something only for LATAM, where the biggest probability is that if you can do it only for your country, but that most of the people simply are limited to consuming and not creating. But there is nothing that limits us to be global. The talent that we have, the possibilities, the connectivity that we have allows us to do anything that is global. Is just removing or stop feeling that we are second-class citizens, visualizing that we are first-world citizens. Thank you. Thank you for inspiring us. I'm sure that your generation will inspire new generations of entrepreneurs. And this is absolutely mindset. We need to actually take on the world from Latin America. So thank you very much for your time, Alex. I want you to share a final reflection. It can be personal. It can be about Torre. It can be a message to the people that are not having a good time. You choose the message, but give us your final message. Obviously, the pandemic and the lockdown has impacted a lot of people negatively. But also, it's opening opportunities. I sometimes imagine the world as a complex system of Lego blocks, which are interconnected. That is how I like to understand the world. And the pandemic has made that this Lego system, somebody came in and destroyed a third part of the whole Lego structure that we had. And that's terrible, of course. But at the same time, that can also be visualized as nowadays, there are a lot of Lego pieces scattered around on the floor, and they're ready for people to come and create new structures. Not only structures that can be new and adjusted to this reality, but fresh structures that has no codependencies to old ones that were more abstract. And it's in the hands of the entrepreneurs, most of the ones that we have here, to go and build that new future, those new Lego blocks. What I am anxious about as an investor and as an entrepreneur is not if I will be able to survive in the pandemics. Obviously, this anxiety comes as a luxury because we don't have survival problems. But my anxiety is, all the business opportunities that I'm not taking the opportunity, all of the new businesses that I'm going to be missing and losing. That is my anxiety. The fear of missing out, because we have a huge array of opportunities nowadays to take due to the coronavirus. Alex, is it a good time to invest? Is it a good time to fund a startup? Without a doubt. Alex, thank you very much. I think it's a golden closing to our session today. We heard a lot of stories from entrepreneurs, and it's really inspirational to listen to you. On behalf of PICAP and on behalf of the committee, thank you very much, Alex. Thank you very much for the invitation, and I wish you the best. Bye-bye. Okay, this is the closing of our morning session. We are just in time. In 1 hour, we will start the workshop from Greg Mitchell, the masterclass for entrepreneurs. Remember, you had to register previously. And at 5 p.m., we will have our legal perspective panel, both entrepreneur and investor. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your interactions. And I will see you later on. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in a couple of hours.